Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. This is Wales only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The God well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets it. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. Yo, what's going on?
You mentioned everybody but the one guy that started telling them from the beginning.
Ain't that some shit? That wasn't even planned. I don't even know how that happened, but you can blame Markable. He's the one that did the editing.
He did good work, and then now he's disappeared on us out there gallivanting around the world, having fun, surfing everywhere.
He's watching from a farm somewhere. Don't believe the hype that he's disappeared. He's freaking watching from a farm.
I know what he's doing. He's having a good time, is what he's doing.
That's exactly right. That's what he calls a good time. Growing trees and fruit and shit.
Oh, what's up, my man?
I'm good, brother. How you been, man? Long time no speak on camera.
Yeah, it has been a while. Oh man, I'm doing great. I been on this tour and just doing my thing, keeping the wheel rolling, keeping it greased, getting ready for the next, bull market. I think that, I think that we've actually been in a bear market more than we've been in a bull market with Hex, right?
Not yet.
No?
Not yet. I think we're about to be close to 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, I should do the math on that because, when you think about it, what I would go back to where this current price level is because we're literally on like big picture support right now at the 0.003 cent mark. So if that thing goes below that, chart changes a bit. But if it holds, which it probably will, because the amount of selling that's happened for 2 years. It's like, what if people keep finding this Hex to sell?
Well, there's a lot of people to getting those first year or two stakes out,
Yeah, and they were running,
and they're running away. They're running away.
Thinking.
But a lot of them are. But we got to also remember a lot of them are in the profit too. Those stakes that are 2 3 years old, they're in the profit.
All of those stakes are in the profit. Every time I see a stake that's literally the duration of the system's existence, it's in profit. There's no doubt about it. You see it every time a big one ends. You see it.
So we can't fault those people.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think what's difficult is that people don't understand that markets are cyclical, right? And look, I took it at face value. That's why I never talked about it. To me, it's like, well, you don't know this, but it's not obvious to people that just don't know.
That's something interesting to talk about, cyclical markets. I'm not one for charting or doing math for sure. I mean, when you came around, I started learning what the math really was here, what we were talking about, and you put it in mathematical terms. But, these cyclical markets, when I take a step back and look at, this from a macroeconomic viewpoint and from a worldview point of view, because I always look at crypto and this marketplace and everything kind of emotionally, and from like how human interaction actually functions within it versus
But
the
that's the
numbers.
correct way. But that's the correct
But
way.
but the
That's the thing.
numbers are
That's the
just a
thing.
way of mathematically equating what the human nature is doing.
Expressing it.
This secular, it just
It's the
expresses it.
expression of. But that's the thing that people don't understand. They think it's supposed to be like a picture of it, and no, it's an expression of
Mhm.
it, because the thing is that there's a time lag to everything that happens, right?
Yeah.
Because even if you look at somebody that's running a marathon, how do they complete that marathon? By running the whole 26 miles, not just by starting it, right? And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people have a hard time understanding that. They think that they could just show up, buy something, and they're supposed to just be rich. And no, I'm sorry. That shit takes time.
I've been playing around in crypto since 2014, and it took this long and a lot of investment to make it where I've made it. Now, my gains have way outweighed my losses.
But that's the point.
Yeah, and that's the point. It's time in the market and making
Yeah.
mistakes and learning and keeping your
Steering the
eyes
ship
open for
right.
something right and for something
Yeah.
good. And that's what we did. And that's why I think the smartest people in crypto are in Hex, because they were looking for it, and they found it.
Right.
And
Right.
when they recognized it, boom, they
We haven't
stayed.
talked about that in a while, because that I used to say that all the time, because that's true. The majority of the people that are the hardcore RH maxis were looking for this exact thing,
Mm,
because they wanted these parameters,
yep.
long term capability to hold, nothing less. Because anything else is really just a promise, and that doesn't really lend itself to anything beneficial long term. And that's why so few coins have achieved the status of a Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Hmm. And the counterparty risk thing, that was huge. I think that's what drew me to Richard and Hex first, was the counterparty risk issue,
Right,
that
there
there
isn't
wasn't
any.
any. Yeah,
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
isn't any.
and that's the kind of the funny thing is, like, to me, it doesn't even cross my mind, because that's the whole point.
Hmm. Speaking of funny, everybody in the chat room wants you to understand something, that probably the two most serious guys in the whole space are now on stream together, and this is probably not going to be a funny stream, but it might be valuable. So here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. It's definitely gonna be valuable, because this is a great question. Thanks, X Blind Royalty, for the $5 super chat. Uh, Question goes: Greeting, gents, long time listener. Can you please speak to the probability and the implications of KYC forcing its way into
Mm,
DeFi via government? Now, it sounds like it's a plausible eventuality. Now, the thing to understand is that the two systems are not connected in any way.
mm-mm.
So it's going to be a hard one for them to pull off. Very, 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 very difficult, because it's technically not possible, technologically not possible.
Yeah.
And that's their issue present day.
and the choke point obviously is the offboard onboard,
Right. Banking system.
banking system, uh, and there are workarounds for that with
Hmm.
crypto credit cards, and maybe one day adoption of crypto versus dollar bills. I don't know if that's something that's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, Bitcoin's been trying that forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and I don't see that happening with all the different cryptos that are out there and the volatilities of the market. I just don't see people taking payment. I mean, you look, everyone that's ever took payment of Bitcoin, they just kind of stop, they're done with it. So uh, the choke point is the off ramp. And if you want true DeFi and you don't want KYC, we're going to have to make solutions to all that. And I think they're coming. We got some, I mean, but even our pulse chain, what is it? OX Coast. I mean, they've got to do KYC. So,
Right.
there's, And from when you where you your day job and what you did with the Hex Investment Trust and everything, you know what it is to be in compliance and have to deal with all that. So
Yep.
it's you think just KYC is bad? Try building a trust and put it up on the market.
Yeah, it's damn near impossible. And that's kind of the thing. People don't understand the vastness of the system and the the complexities that are involved in operating with it. They think that it's like a store where you just walk in and get what you want, but it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
No. Let's let's track back so that you and I can work from a place of similarity,
Mm,
because I know that you and I we don't exist on one side of the spectrum when it comes to government outreach, overreach, whatever you want to call it,
mm,
government period versus anarchy, whatever.
mm,
um, I know that you spend a lot of time looking at the system and how it operates and how it functions and how it affects all of us, especially in the crypto space.
mm,
And and you and I both served our country, stood in the wall, and for the people here, I'm sure that you and I both have the same agreement that it wasn't for the government that we did that. We did that for the people that live here, or for whatever reason we thought was
right,
important at the time.
right, right.
Um, but what's your take on how much is enough and how much is too much when it comes to the government getting involved in crypto?
Well, I think the problem with that is just simply understanding why crypto exists in the first place. And that's the
Hmm.
bigger issue. The bigger issue is that people have a hard time accepting that crypto exists because government is the problem first and foremost.
Mm.
And the reason government is the problem is because the people, us, the crowd, we don't do our job to ensure the checks and balances of the system.
Mm.
So this is really the only way to force the system to check itself because it does not,
So
right?
basically, what you're saying is that we failed to make the system work for us,
Correct.
and that's because of the people that we voted into office and
Well,
the laws that we've allowed to happen.
not necessarily that, but it's just because we allow things to happen and we don't speak up and we don't correct the administrative personnel. I mean, let's think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Let's just put this in practical terms, right? The government is there to service us and society at large. They're not there
Period.
to tell us what to do,
Yep.
right? But this is what we experience every day, and that's just wrong. And the reason that happens is because people think that's correct. If they did understand that that's incorrect and that they're there to work for us, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's the thing. There's a presumption that there's something wrong with that, and there isn't anything wrong with that. What's wrong is that we, the people, don't do our job and keep them in check, which is what has caused all of these things to run away to the point where, I mean, we're talking levels of debts to I don't know who that are never going to be paid off, right? Which
Yeah.
is precipitating the need and desire for something like crypto, monetarily speaking, right?
Yeah.
Because humans are not retarded. We might not address issues all equivalently in mass, which is actually the problem, but we're not retarded, right? We all understand in very layman terms that there's a problem
Yeah.
because the cost of living goes up all the time.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is that now it goes up all the time,
Hockey stick.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not just in the third world, it's going up all the time everywhere. So
Yeah.
everybody's seeing it. So the dynamics of what people think money is, that's changing every single day now, right? So who's going to be there to explain to people what the hell is going on? You think it's going to be some expert at the Fed? Let's be honest. They have no vested interest in explaining to people that they are the reason these things are happening. Now,
So-
go ahead, go ahead.
well, we got this clown in the SEC, which is not even really a government agency, it's an outside agency, an
Right.
arm of the government hired out to do its
Correct.
dirty work. Go
Correct.
sue people. We want you to sue people, bring
That's
lawsuit.
literally it. Yeah, they don't
That's
do
all they are.
anything else. Yeah.
They're a civil organization. They
Yep.
don't even bring criminal charges up against anybody.
Nope.
So for them to be acting as they are is odd to me. I mean, they're literally acting like enforcement, like they're the FBI or something like that. It's strange to me to see
So
the
let me
way this
explain how
climate
that
acts.
happens. This is how that happens. Because
Mhm.
again, it goes back to the people not being aware of protocols and the actual issue that is fraud, waste, and abuse within the federal government. Now, when you sit here and think about again what a person's position is and what their role is actually supposed to be, how does it cross the line so severely that people think these random individuals have the authority to tell you how to live your life? I mean,
Mhm.
it's bananas. You can't collect water in certain places. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it's all about what you can and cannot do. And it's never
Yeah.
really the why is never discussed. There's no validity behind the whatever, right? I mean, and this is just common. It's not even uncommon, right? So I think that there comes a point in time where people realize they have to get involved, right? No matter how it is, whether it's in crypto, whether it's in government, whatever it is you think you got to do it. Get
Yeah.
involved because there's not going to be a change until it's forced. And at that point, what do you intend to be? What position are you gonna have that's gonna allow you to get through that speed bump? Because everybody's gonna feel it. Nobody expects it. That's the thing, right? How do crises happen? Nobody ever quote unquote sees them coming. But we've
Mm.
been calling them for fucking
Well,
10
that
years, 20
yeah.
years, right? And that's why they always happen.
Well, I mean, the writing was on the wall in the direction we were going as soon as they debased the currency and
2008
started
was really
heading down this road. Yeah, yeah. When 2008, I mean,
it
shoot,
was the
man,
accelerator. I mean, we can go
I
back to Vietnam, but 2008 was really the
that's
hit.
when it really like when they flipped the pancake over. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
boom.
it's time to finish this bitch. Yeah,
Then finish this bitch, and
yeah,
and that's what it felt like because uh, I look at all that time and I was just a working stiff, trying to do what my dad and my grandfather did, work, 25, 30, 40 years at a job, get a
right.
pension, raise their family, get a house,
Sure,
maybe two, little
the American
investments,
dream.
American dream, and
Right,
I watched granddad, pull it off.
right.
And then I
You knew
watched
it was
dad,
possible.
dad struggle
Mhm.
and lose his pension and things start getting hairy for him. And then I looked at me and it was like, oh, wait a second, I'm coming up on that age. And the way they tricked me was, they stopped giving us raises back in the 2000. That's when they stopped doing all that. So it's like, instead of a raise, you know what they gave us? More hours. Like, hey, you know what? I can give you some more hours. I can let you work Saturdays. Hey, if you want to work Sundays too, you can work Sundays.
Wow.
Oh, those 14-hour days aren't enough for you. We'll bump it up to 16. Will that work for you? That's how we were getting raises, man.
What
And then
the fuck?
and then the other thing you could do is do a geographical and leave this company and try and go to the
Yeah,
next highest bidder and go to another company and then you start getting a name because you're the guy hopping around from company to company trying to
for
get a
sure.
raise, trying to get a leg up. And I mean, and that was life. It was like
That's crazy, bro.
people used to work at a company for 20 years.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
yeah,
then the regular like the average work span now is like something like 3 to 5 years at a company and
yeah. Yep,
then you're on to the next one
yep.
and trying to up your ante and
I mean, my
that's
resume
just
literally reflects that. It's funny because you kind of have to. You don't have a choice.
yeah, and a resume didn't mean anything back in the day because you didn't need one. You went and
Yeah,
worked for somebody. You
correct.
worked for that company.
And that was it.
You were a company man. They called
Yeah.
it. There's no such thing as a company man anymore, right? I
No,
mean,
no, there isn't.
so yeah, man, it's a different world. And here's the crazy thing in the workforce is that the average Joe and and this is a global phenomenon, not just here in the U.S.
For sure.
Production of the working class man has hockey sticked over the last 20, 25, 30 years.
100%.
Boom! Like productivity has gone through the roof, but our pay, our retirement benefits, our dollars, everything has gone down and crushed against us. All the while,
That's right.
we're actually being better workers, better human beings.
Profits are, everything is at all-time highs when it comes
Profits
to
are at
money
all-time highs.
making, right?
Yep.
All that shit. CEO pay all-time high. Everybody winning except the average man.
Except the average man. And then every time they talk about, well, hey, we're going to fix this. We're going to cut some taxes for you guys. We're tired of you guys paying the government. We're going to cut some taxes. Okay, so they cut the taxes for all of the guys that we've been working for all the companies and everybody. They got their taxes cut. And what they do? Stock buybacks.
Right.
And they went and bought all the and valued up all their companies and everything. And what do we get?
Nothing.
No tax break.
No stock employee
raises,
options. No employee stock options.
No, none of that stuff. And inflation like a motherfucker. So even the dollars that we did have saved just got ripped off from us. Yep. We got taxed you some more. Yep. And it's too bad. And I'm glad that there's something like DeFi that's available that we can try and fix this mess with, because this is how it's going to happen. I mean, this is the only way it can happen. We can't do it with them controlling our money. We can't.
Because that's the issue, right? The issue is that we have let others control the most important nexus of life, which is our ability to live, which is our means to acquire resources, things to survive, because that's what resources are, right? So I'm gonna put it in simple terms. I'm not even gonna say a house, food, all that, clothing, resources, because that's simply put what it is. When you control the money, you control what people are going to do and not do. Yeah, it's really that simple, right? I mean, look at the credit system and how it functions. The credit system functions only if you, the individual, participate in consistently engaging in taking out debt and paying it off. You have to have revolving accounts. In short, that's the technical term. And if you don't have revolving accounts showing, good payment history, meaning you're always taking money out and paying it back, you're not going to have a good credit score. Period. Doesn't matter what you do. Right? Because it's really that. You're not even going to have credit history, which is just as bad as having bad credit, apparently. Right? So it's all these things that the average person doesn't even know. Right? And the system is just there, imposing and putting all these things on you. And you're just a dude trying to survive a 9-to-5 so you can raise your kids, your fam, and this and that, and help out whoever you're going to help out. I mean, this is exactly why crypto exists. Exactly why.
Yeah. So back to the KYC question that we kind of didn't, but did answer.
Oh, we answered it. We kind of answered it because think about it. The banking point is the only point that they can use.
That's the choke point that they control.
Yeah,
I should just say the banks control the government sentiment. We keep putting the government in front of the banks, and in all actuality, the banks are in front of the government.
So let me
because
explain.
They're the ones lobbying and writing the laws, not the clowns that pretend to be the lawmakers or our legislation or our representation. They aren't. They represent those banks, and those banks are the ones that are feeding
people that put them there.
These laws. Exactly.
The people that put them there. So here's something interesting that the average person probably doesn't know. When it comes to you placing your money in someone else's custody, you have now engaged that counterparty in a fiduciary agreement. Now, if you're an individual that doesn't know what that means, let me explain, because this is actually very important. And if everybody understood this, Wall Street wouldn't even exist. Period. Listen up. Fiduciary responsibility dictates that the entity that is in custody of your assets, your valuables, your goods, whatever it is, they are to act in your best interest and in your best interest only, not in their best interest. Now, does the financial industry operate in that fashion? Well, fuck no. Everybody knows that. There's nothing but evidence that that's the case. However, what happens is that nobody knows what I just said. Very few people do. So imagine if a bunch of billionaires or a bunch of people just said F this, class action time, and sued all of Wall Street in a class action lawsuit, claiming breach of fiduciary duty. I mean, how could it not be proved? Wells Fargo, Wachovia, JP Morgan. I mean, I could go down the list of happenings that happened in the past few years that prove it. And it shuts them all down. But because people don't have a clue of anything, they don't read, they don't educate themselves, they don't even know that there's an exit clause for the system. How can we exit? We can't. Everybody's complacent. You know, I was thinking about this shit as I was running today. I was before we started this shit, I was running, right? And I seen this little girl, it's a teenager, and she must have just graduated high school or some shit, because she had this t-shirt on. And you know how these motherfucking kids be doing these class of whatever shirts, right? You know, when I was in high school, I didn't participate in none of that shit. I thought it was stupid, whatever. I don't get it. I don't care for it, never did. So long story short, what hit me was I remember looking at old yearbooks and seeing old school t-shirts and realizing that the quips and comedy from back in the day was academic, not related to pop culture. However, today, every fucking class of whatever the fuck t-shirt got some pop culture reference on it. Very rarely is it an academic reference that's humorous, because that's the idea. It's to make something that motherfuckers gonna remember. It's funny, blah, 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 blah. Right? But that shit don't happen. That's not what happens. So the culture and the identity of society has changed such that nobody has any interest in being educated. It's not cool. I remember when I was a kid, it was not cool to be smart, bro. I had to fake I was stupid.
Yeah. I was the coolest kid in town, man.
Yep. Coolest motherfucker in town. The dumbest motherfucker in town, doing the most ignorant shit. That's what got you cool points. You already know, Captain, because that's how it is in the cities.
Yep.
And that's how we grew up, doing the dumbest shit, being the bravest, toughest, blah, blah, blah. And all you're doing is setting yourself up for a fucking case, and you don't even got a clue. Yep. I mean, it's funny.
Case one way or another. You're going to be in a case in the ground or a case in the freaking joint. Yeah. You know, one of the two.
One of the two. A case is a case, right?
A case is a case, baby. And that's all the city had to offer us. But you know, I look at the problem, you know, the overreach, the KYC, AML, the solution being DeFi, and I go, okay, so how do we get, you know, I'm always about solutions. How do we get to the promised land? How do the mess that we're in is so deep. The mud is so thick. Like you can't walk through it. It's just, and I know that the one thing that has really destroyed the possibility of having any representational government is the Citizens United that I've talked about time and time again, is that money is speech, and the people with the money get to have the most speech. And we know that through statistics that 98 or 99% of the politicians that raise the most money win the election. That's a fact. You can look it up and see how it works out. But so we've become this system where the most money that's poured into an election decides on the winner, and the 1% that already control the power and the money are the ones that are making the rules to their benefit to hold on to what it is they got for legacy or for greed or for whatever reason it is. But then in the middle somewhere, we've got everybody making excuses for it. Well, no, it's entrepreneurialism. Hey, they should get everything that they deserve because they built that. But everybody, you know, when you look at these great mountains of wealth, and there's somebody somewhere said something famous, and I forget where it came from because it's been said so many times, and behind every great fortune is a great crime. And we see that throughout history. You know,
I was about to say, I can't remember a time where I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I mean, the establishment of this nation alone, on top of the bodies of the natives that were here, was a crime. And every farmer that's ever pulled value out of this dirt has pulled it out of the bones of those people that owned this place or that were living here and caretaking of this place before they came. and so it just perpetuates. This crime keeps perpetuating over and over, generation after generation, until we have what we have here today. And now we have it to where the money has gotten so powerful that it's been able to change the laws in its favor to continue the perpetuation of its power and its overreach into our society. And then the normal people, the folks that are out there working and questioning all this stuff and going, man, why is my lot in life getting worse? Or why am I not able to bring my children up and make them have a better life than me? Because I'm looking at my kids going, how in the hell are they going to have a better life than me? No matter how much I set them up or try to set them up, how is this society going to allow them to do that in the situation that they're all in? They're all starting, 100 paces back from the starting line, let alone anybody else. It's not like anybody else is ahead of them. It's all of this whole generation is having to start 100 steps back. It's just and debt and everything else. It's like whew, it's a tough situation to try and think your way out of. How do you do it? Do you go fight the government? Do you try and figure out how to change it? Do you go, run for your local, your local school board and try and make it to the president of the United States one day, and all that kind of that bullshit that they're trying to shove down everybody's throat that isn't going to work, At my age, I look at it as a dire situation. Like, man, I don't know if I can enforce enough change or help enough change.
That's how I feel about it. That's why it's hard for me to stop streaming. I mean, think about it. What are we talking about? We're talking about how can we get crypto to get accepted by the masses in such a way that they realize that it's to their benefit and not just some other thing, which is hard. It's hard, man, because people, only now will people start understanding that money that we think is money, which is not, is a problem because their goods and services are going up. The cost of living is going up. They are scratching on by. God forbid they have a freaking emergency. They're fucked. The average person is screwed. Yeah. Everything is going to just food and basic goods and services. That's. I mean, what the hell did I? So check this out. We did this thing, a potluck at my job the other day, right? Which, whatever. I usually take some rice, right? A big thing, well, not really a big thing, but a thing of rice to feed like 10, 15 people, whatever it is, right? It usually costs me $30. This year it cost me 50. 50 from 30. That's 20% on. That's $20 on top of $30 already. That's a 66% increase on one item.
Mm-hmm. And that's everything.
Insane. Yeah, and that's
fuel, everything you're touching, your tennis shoes you wear, your toothbrushes you buy, everything's gone up like that. And that's
imagine the people that can't afford to pay 66% more.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't in my position that they can afford to do that shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy out here, bro. You see all manner of people, and I'm talking about New York. I grew up here. I've never seen this many homeless people in my life. I've never seen this many people asking for money in my life, period. And I grew up in the 80s and 90s. That should say something. And nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's ringing a bell. Nobody gives a shit. And the problem is that the people are relying on these false individuals, these false prophets, which are just really clowns wearing a role, right? Because they, and I used to work, and you just can't tell me when you look outside that this makes any sense, right? And that's the problem. We like to pretend it does collectively when we should all be screaming to the top of our lungs saying, what the fuck is going on? Right? Because, it's only going to get crazier. I mean, I'm telling you, man, every freaking corner out here, there's somebody asking for change. And I mean, it's at a rate that I've just never seen before.
But you're right. And there's been hard times before.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Globally, for forever. And what happens is the people get up and go do something about it. And here's what I'm seeing right now is that people are more educated about this stuff, have more access to this stuff to this stuff than ever before. But guess what? They're all frozen like this.
They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do.
They're all frozen with this thing in their face and not doing anything, not getting out and going and doing something about it.
Because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's in their face, but they don't know it because they've heard about it. Yeah, think about all the people that have heard about crypto and passing and don't even pay it no mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times have you heard about something that later on down the line, years later, you're like, oh, fuck, I wish I would have paid attention when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's going to be tons of people with crypto.
Well, and I think people's first impression of crypto is number go up, or a friend got rich, or scam, or, you know, they think of that, and they don't
mainstream narrative
look into it deeper and go, okay, what was it built for? What was the cypherpunk movement? What was Satoshi's white paper saying? What was all the things that were being said about this thing? What was it supposed to do? You know, bank the unbanked, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, what happened to that narrative? You know, where did that go? You know,
it's weird. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah. And now what's funny is that the system is here that fixes that now. Now, truly unbanking or banking the unbanked is possible.
But guess what? Now the banks want to get in there. Ain't that funny?
And
isn't that funny?
Crypto is cheering it on, baby. They are cheering on. Bring in that institutional bank that we hate.
Yeah, bring in the KYC. Give it to us. Give us all that shit.
Come on, BlackRock. We love you.
Oh my God. I mean, you know, and this is why they are so adamant about KYCing something. You know, they keep trying to pass legislation that doesn't make any sense. And luckily, you know, the courts at this point in time are magically doing what they're supposed to do, because they have not, and by they I mean the SEC, have not been able to solidify any of their weak positions, which are not predicated on any case law, which are not predicated on any base law, right? So what are they doing? Making shit up as they go along.
And but you know, here's the problem. I see the courts, you know, like telling the SEC, no, wrong.
Right. But there's really no stopping them, right, from doing that shit on repeat.
Yeah, and so what are they doing? Just letting them keep coming back until they finally, like, something sticks up against the wall? Are they gonna tell the SEC, you guys are full of shit? Go back and fix yourself, unfuck yourself, make the rules for these people so they can abide by them. I mean, all of crypto, all of the centralized agencies out there are screaming at the SEC saying, just give us the rules and we'll operate in the rules.
And you know what's funny? We're first talking about the putting the trust together. You know, the advisors that were working with us, you know, I was really the only person that could speak to the regulatory side of of this scenario. You know, and I still believe that this is what's going to end up happening. And what we discussed all the way back then, this was what, 2020 or maybe 2021? Yeah, 2021, was that the only eventuality that's probable and makes sense and they can justify is for the CFTC, the Commodities and Futures, the Commodities and Futures Trade Commission, for them to supersede the regulatory aspect of crypto, because
which makes sense.
Because guess what? It's a commodity. If it's a commodity, why are you forcing people to get MTLs to transact? You know, once you sit here and think about that, you realize the whole thing is really a scam. Because if it's not money, well, why are you forcing me to get an MTL, which is a money transmitter license for those that don't know? Yeah,
bro. Look, I went through that experience with you when we were flying around, sitting down with lawyers and sitting down with other teams of people trying to figure this whole thing out. What really got me and discouraged me from the whole system was when. Now imagine this, folks. There's a whole room of extremely smart people, lawyers, people on the regulatory side, our team, just a lot of brilliant people sitting in that room. And the lawyers, our lawyers, the lawyers that were representing us, literally, we had to teach them the intricacies of crypto because they didn't know, and they were representing us. We spent money on lawyers to teach them about crypto and about hex and about self-custody and all those things. Like, I was beside myself, upset that I was paying for a lawyer that I was training because they didn't understand. And
that's the best part.
And
but yet they claim to at the beginning.
But they claim to, and the regulatory bodies claim to understand them who don't understand
anything.
And then we're trying to teach them all at the same time. And I'm paying for it.
Right.
I'm paying for the education of these two motherfuckers to get what it is that is going on right in front of them that they're supposed to be handling for us. And it blew my mind that was how this was going on. And then it made me realize that we were so far ahead.
Yeah,
Richard bringing Hex out and DeFi out when he did was so far ahead of the curve on everything that was out there, even the regulatory and legal representation of within crypto. The people that actually had their hands on the Grayscale fund and understood it didn't understand the intricacies of Hex and the ecosystem of DeFi and all that kind of stuff, to where they couldn't figure out how to put this thing together. And that was like a hint and a half for my ass that, man, we are so freaking early, and we are so going to have to do so much work to get this thing up and off the ground because people just don't understand. But the beautiful thing is that we were right. We were right in understanding the design. We were right in understanding in what direction this can take finance into the real world. And because of that, for, over 3 years, going on 4 years now, we're all sitting here going, we were right. And we were right. And while everybody else has been wrong in crypto, we were right. And that's why we're still standing. That's why in bear market, we can talk like we're talking, because we never had to pull any streams down. The only things that we might have ever been wrong on is if any of us said anything about price action, because nobody can predict price action. People just get us to say it to make them feel better or whatever the fuck, But the system itself and Hex itself has done what it's supposed to do. And it's still the same thing that we all figured out it was. And there's no change in it. So it's like, all right, everybody, but get your shit together, because this is the way it's going. This is the way true DeFi is going to go. It's right here in front of you, and the whole world needs it. So get up off your asses and start helping promote it and start helping change things so that we can keep it up and running. I mean, I don't see how they could shut it down or how they could even try to regulate it.
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
So I think there's going to be two cryptos.
People have a hard. Well, there's going to be real crypto and there's going to be fake crypto like there already is now, and then it's just going to be an amalgamation of CBDCs and fake crypto, right? Because that's what's coming. That's the next iteration of fiat money, because everything is being digitized, whether we like it or not. That's just where everything is going. I mean, I remember for a while, even all the ads were like augmented reality, and you couldn't escape the shit. It was so ridiculous. I don't know if you remember that period of time. It must have been like 3-5 years ago, something like that, where so much advertising was just, that augmented reality where they had like, remember that? You seen that ad of the bull in that corner room in that building in Times Square or somewhere in New York, but it's a visual. You ever seen that? I'm sure you've seen it. You probably just don't remember. You got to be tired of seeing it, because that's just the kind of thing that, everything is going that way. Digital. Everything is going to be digitized if it can be digitized, until people learn that that's just not smart, because there's going to come a time when that's going to be learned also. That's just the way it is. Because what happens when there is no backup, to that digital whatever, and the whole system goes out? What then? Bet you wish you would have had some paper copies on.
Yeah.
And that day is coming, because, again, what happens? People in these positions of bureaucracy, they don't exercise any real critical thinking, and they think that going from one extreme to the next is always a move. And that should always blows up in their faces. It's just the way it is, because that's just how they roll.
Well, it's taken our system out of balance for sure. And I don't even know if it's the system. I think the system is rigged, and it is what it is by the people that are controlling it. I think that they put the people out of balance by doing those, this way, that way, to just keep everything confused, keep everybody stuck in their phones, watching this news, that news, this news, that news, this social media, that social media, just getting themselves pissed off until finally one or two of them lose their shit and go shoot up something or fucking do something stupid or whatever. And then and it's just a cycle of just, man,
perpetuates itself, unfortunately.
that's crazy, man.
And that's why I never changed that little avatar I got on my screen, because that shit is so true. And it took me a long time to realize that everybody's afflicted by a psychological wound in one way or another, whether they realize it or not. That shit is hard for people to accept, because you think you're being logical, you think you're being sensible, you think you're doing all these things correct, until one day it just smacks you in the face because you're not where you want to be, and you're the reason why. Then what? Right? Then you gotta wake up and start doing some motherfucking self-inventory. That's what happens. Right? Because that's how it works, man. And it takes time and realization and understanding and a wanting to get to that point. Because ultimately, we're all trying to achieve great things in one shape or another. And some want it more than others, and some just say they want it. But at the end of the day, regardless of what's true and what's real, one thing we know for sure is the following, and that's that everything requires work, period. So if you're trying to achieve anything, it's not going to just land in your lap. It's going to require some effort on your part, period, including becoming wealthy. Even if it is crypto, people thought they were just going to walk in and walk out. Nah, shit takes time, homie, especially when you don't have a clue what's going on. Because that's ultimately what it boils down to. This is why people are still naysaying Hex. They, how the hell are we 4 years damn near in? And you got people that have built shit for the community and all this crap, claiming to be, not astute individuals and all this. And when you see them typing on Twitter, it's fucking evident that they're retarded and they don't know anything about Hex, and they've been lying, or they've been lying the whole time. And this is what people have and must take into account. Everybody isn't online trying to tell you the truth. They're not. Right?
No, you tell me it's not so.
Well, actually, let's talk about a little something that's happened recently that we haven't even touched on. Recently, some schmuck on Twitter scammed the community for $400K. $400K. And you know what? Let me get the super chat out the way. Alan, thank you, brother, for the super chat. Let me read this. Good thing they keep confiscating quarters and dollar bills and digitized. You can't give people change anyway. But we got money for hotels, missiles, vaccines on our dime. Yes, that's right. We do. Ain't that funny? And these are the things that, these are the things that are going to start to wake people up, because it's happening directly in their fucking face. The government can say whatever the fuck they want on TV, but people are going to react, and you're seeing them react, and there's videos popping up all over the fucking place. So that, it's getting to a point where they're approaching these people in public, bro. Like, motherfuckers are not scared, and they're under these random assumptions that people are scared, and it's going to become evident. All these lies are going to become evident because people are going to start to connect dots. And once you start giving people dots to connect, that's it. There's only but so much that's left at that point. You're fully exposed. Yeah. So once you're fully exposed, people start reacting in ways that you never saw them react before. For example, a couple of days ago, I saw a video of some guy walking up to the vice president, the supposed vice president of the country, right? You saw that shit, right? I mean,
it's like the dude was standing there for a minute and a half without,
But what didn't happen? You didn't see any Secret Service, did you?
That's what I'm saying. The guy was standing there for a minute and a half, and like she should have been covered by 2 or 3 Secret Service agents. She should have been being drug off of that stage.
Do you understand why she was not? Because
There's a
I
there's a lot
explained it
of
before. A lot of people didn't want to believe me, but I've explained it before. And that's video evidence of the truth. Because the reason there was no Secret Service there is because she's not entitled to any Secret Service protection, sir. Boom. Done told you. 20th Amendment. Read the motherfucker. Because it's in writing. And this is the shit I'm talking about. Right? How do things go so left that people think that some random weirdo on fucking TV telling you how to live makes sense? Now, I don't give a fuck who you are, where you're from. Unless you know my life, you honestly cannot tell me what's good for me or not. Just like I cannot do the same for you. You might ask me for some advice. I might be able to give you some advice, but could I tell you how to live precisely and all that? Nah, of course not. That's just not a thing that's possible. It's not plausible. But this is the society we live in. This is what people think makes sense. And it just can't. How can that shit make sense? It's one of those things that is one of those elusive questions, right? How do things go so left? And it's just because people find themselves entertained with other shit. That's simply put what the problem is. And is it a problem? Maybe. I don't know. It depends how you look at it, because some people just, there's enough people. And, if we wanted to stop what was happening, we could. It doesn't take a lot of people. But nobody cares enough to do anything. There's a lot of talk.
Because they're all lulled to sleep with their electronic devices and social media and
nobody
fast
wants
food.
nobody wants to let go of the good feelings.
And see, because all of these drugs weren't available to society, back in the day, where you can literally stay in your room and be completely entertained, order your food from an Uber, talk to anybody in your family around the world at the moment's notice, be entertained by everything you want, feed your brain with whatever you want. You can go look for whatever narrative that fits your narrative out there and feed into it, binge watch, hours and hours and hours of fantasy television shows, you name it. I mean, it's too easy to just not pay attention to what's going on out there and go and have to go to work and try and fix it,
Yeah, for sure. And that's what you mean by lulling you to sleep.
Yeah,
it's so easy.
Frog in a pot deal, right?
Yeah, that's what it ends up being. That's the end result. And that's the issue with not being a forward-thinking individual. You don't realize that. I mean, I remember, man, being a kid and wondering why the hell. When I was a kid, I would wonder why the hell would prices go up so much, and nobody gave a fuck. I was wondering this as a kid, and it continues to this day. We're just built a certain way, and some folks care, some folks don't, and that's unfortunately what it boils down to. So, what I think that ends up leading to is just not positive things. And this is why it's important to be prepared for anything and everything, because, we don't have control of certain things like we think we do, and the only way to be prepared for the unknowable is by thinking ahead and just taking things in stride and understanding that, every day could be a crazy day, and you need to be able to think ahead and be able to think on your feet and be able to understand certain things that, maybe at that point in time don't make sense. So you got to just fucking react and then do something. It's just, life is just weird, bro. You just never know what you're going to have to do. And that's, we're in that point in time where it's getting funny, man. It's getting funny. And, people are starting to notice how funny it's getting, right? And when normies start noticing things are funny, you gotta worry.
Yeah.
And now I'm that's why I'm like, I'm starting to worry. Mm-hmm.
So in saying all of these things, I mean, I understand what we're up against. We've lived through cycles. We've seen how it's affected us. We've seen history. We've looked at history and how people had it in the past and the direction that this world has gone in, and then we start to see things come to light that could change it. For
Right.
instance, crypto.
Right.
And so I choose the battles that I can go and fight in, I guess, in the limited amount of time I got left on this planet, and with the energy that I have that I want to put out there, resources. I find this space to be an important one to work in. I find this space an important one to go out and try and make change. And then when you jump into this space and you say, okay, let's get with all these like-minded people and let's go change the world. And then you come in and you face opposition here,
Right.
and you use your wisdom, your knowledge, your time in the market to make good decisions and change things for yourself, doing the right things and going, okay, well, now I do have something that I need to speak to. And then you find a platform to speak on, like we have, and still you get pressure from, not only the outside agencies like the SEC and the United States government and the other governments around the planet, but then from within the crypto community. And then when things get rough on everybody, we go into a bear market, even your own community that was sitting there with you, watching you, listening to you, supporting you, starts turning against you. And you start getting people, trying to bring you down from within. It's like, it's very discouraging. It's very discouraging. However, the thing I like about it is that which does not kill me makes me stronger.
That's right.
And all of this pressure that we've received, all of this flaming that we've received from the community, from outside and from within, has only succeeded in making us stronger and annealing us or forging us, so to speak. And now I feel like we're prepared to take it to the next step, because I believe that there's going to be a split in crypto. I think the regulatory bodies are going to get a hold of the CeFi space and get a hand on them and start to regulate them and make them play nice and do all the things they're supposed to do. And they'll gladly do it, because there's a lot of people, like you said in the beginning, that contract, there's that obligation that the institutions have to custody your value. And it sits on both sides of the fence. The obligation is on both sides, because they're obligated to FDIC insure the value of your investments for up to a certain amount. Right. So that's, some people like having that hedge, having that insurance. Right. And more power to them. If they want to live that way and they want to be part of that system, then great. Then go ahead and regulate it.
Right? It's there to use. It's there to be used. And that's the thing. I think the problem is that people don't appreciate both sides of the coin.
Yeah, right. That people don't see both sides of the coin, and
that's also
and then you can and you can diversify. Let's just say you want to have a little foot inside that world and another, most of your bag in the DeFi space or whatever. I think there's room for that, and if that's what makes the governing parties happy, it's like, hey, if you want to deal in cash, you got to risk the fact that you could lose your dollar bill. You could burn your dollar bill. You could shred your dollar bill. Somebody can take your dollar bill. And that's the right you have for using cash, right? That's the right. So go ahead, DeFi, go use it like cash. If you send it somewhere or screw something up, it's on you. Oh, we've all done it. We've all lost some money in DeFi space somehow, some way. Lost the wallet, lost the food phrase, send it to the wrong address, something like that.
That's right.
So there's a risk there, just like cash. But both systems should be available to human beings. I mean, we should be able to, if we want to mitigate some risk and go into the CeFi space and let the government handle it or whatever. But there's a big risk in that too, because what have we seen in that?
But that's the point. That's why there has to be a balance, right? And that's the almost damn near impossible thing to find in life is balance between what's needed and what's desired, right? Because we need a roof over our heads, but do we need a mansion? Not really. But some people go to that extreme, right? And that's the thing. That shit ends up making people miserable because they didn't even need it in the first place. So they didn't even get fulfilled by that extreme. So that's the thing. It's like you must try to find balance, right? And even when it comes to society, that's what we need. We need to try to find balance. I mean, how is it that it makes sense for people to exist in a state where they're not even part of society, but yet everybody just is doing their thing and they just get ignored? I mean, we got a whole sector of humans that are just ignored by everybody else. Homeless people are the people I'm talking about, right? I mean, this is
Mhm.
just crazy. I don't understand how this makes sense. When it's more than enough to go around for everybody, and it's not about people being lazy, because the thing about it is most of these people are mentally fucked up.
Mhm.
Who chooses to not live clean or whatever you want to say
Mhm.
about a homeless person, right? Whatever it is.
Mhm.
Who chooses that? A person that has a
Mhm.
mental issue, man, or
Mhm.
they just fell on bad luck, and it all ties back to mental issues at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah. When I was at the worst stages of my life, mentally, emotionally, whatever, that was when I was homeless, and
There
the
you
two
go.
times in my life when I spent time out on the streets, living under the bridge, whatever. I was, in a mental state that wasn't right for society, wasn't conducive to living a normal life. Now, in my case, I take 100% blame for putting myself in that position because I made
Sure,
that choice.
sure, sure, sure.
But being out there in the streets, I know and I understand that not everybody was in my situation that was out on the streets. Some of the people that were out on the streets, just the system lost them.
Hmm.
Like they were
That's what it
mentally
is.
disabled, and they got out of the family system, out of the church system, out of the government
Something.
system, and ended up on the streets because there
Yeah.
wasn't somebody there. Because that's what we're supposed to do, is take care of the weakest of us. And I know our churches do that. I know our cities do that, and our schools do that, and there's all kinds of different organizations and families do that for our own. But
There's only
what's
so many
happened.
eyes, though, right?
Yeah, yeah, and there's only so many eyes, and once all the eyes are off you, then you end up not being able to understand how to operate in society, and you end up out there.
That's
And
right.
and there is a lot of people out there like that. So I can't
Mhm.
look at a homeless person and say, "Oh, you lazy motherfucker, just get up off your ass, go get a job," blah 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 blah, because that's not the truth. Now, are there some out there? Of course there are, but and some of them are out there just because they decided, hey, they're going to take the wrong path and do the wrong things, and then they ended up out there too, and that was their lot in life. But there are a lot of people that the system, um, we as human beings should have helped, but they fell through the cracks and they ended up out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are veterans. A
Yeah.
lot of them are veterans,
Unfortunately. Yeah. Unfortunately.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
because again, you're you know it, if you're a grunt and you don't come out with a whole bunch of skills
Nah, you
other
don't.
than skills that that aren't really conducive to
Useful.
society as
Yeah.
useful,
Yeah.
and so where do you go, what do you do, how do you end up, so
It's a tough one.
it is, and I feel the same way you do. Those are the people that that are that are that are missed uh, as far as all of this whole big picture thing goes,
Yeah.
and kind of brushing it right. And it's growing. The things, especially out here in California, man, it's growing like crazy. So many homeless people, and we've got these other things now where there's areas in LA where you can park an RV out on the street and
Mm.
legally. And
Hmm.
so there's all these encampments now where all these people are
Hmm.
just parked out and they're all living in those encampments.
Yeah, you're seeing
And
that somewhat in New York now. I mean, you've been seeing it, but just not widespread. But it's starting to spread now.
yeah, and it's out here in LA, it's a big thing because like
Mm.
it's just
Well, I'm sure.
wrecked RV after broken down trailer after
Yeah, whatever
you know
works. Got to look good enough
camper sitting in the
inside.
street. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
people are living in these things and these shanties, and they're growing and growing and multiplying, and it's just poor getting poorer, richer getting richer, and it's not because of a money uh, lack of money or a disparity of money. Obviously, there's more money out than ever. It's a
Mm.
lack of movement of the money, you
Correct.
know. And we were
Velocity of
talking
money is what it's called in
the
economic terms.
velocity, yeah, the velocity of money, and that's what somebody was talking about. I was I was talking with Tangent today on they were doing a little Twitter Spaces, and they had some Bitcoin Maxi guy in there, and the Maxi was talking about, oh, the whole market moves. with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin gets the money into the market moves. And when money goes out of the market from Bitcoin, it moves down. And that's true. That's true. But I'll take the velocity any day versus just money coming in and money going out. That's the tide ebbing and flowing. If we get velocity with the money that's here now, that's in here now. I mean, look, at one point, this market cap was creating an all-time high market cap. Well, we're at what, like $1 trillion market cap, a little over $1 trillion. Yep. And there was one point where this was the top of the market, back in 2015, 16. This was the top of the market. So it's the velocity of this thing. Where is that $1 trillion of market cap? Where is that? And I know it's not $1 trillion, but where is that velocity going? And eventually it's going to flow to the things that are good. Right now it's flowing to Bitcoin because it's the only thing that's really kind of worth the shit that people know about.
Right.
Now wait till they find out about Hex. When everybody starts to understand what Hex really is. Imagine where the velocity of this money is going to go after that. Because what are we talking? 6 to 10 trillion this next bull market they're talking about coming in. So now if we reduce back down to a $3 trillion market cap, what happens when Hex grabs $1 trillion of it, or 500 billion of it, or 750 billion of it? Because it's the good crypto that's out there.
Correct. And I mean, you gotta. Here's the thing that people just discount too much. People discount the reality of the situation, and I think it's because their short-term focus really does not help augment their ability to make good decisions, right? Because ultimately, if you get crypto right one time, and you're gonna attest to that, I mean, that's it.
That's
it. You're done. You're good. You don't gotta keep beating the bush, so to speak, right? I mean, and you can literally decide whatever the hell you want to do with your life. I mean, imagine having that option. A lot of people don't have any options. Imagine having that one where you can say, hey, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want because I can. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. But you have the option, right? And that's what crypto can afford you to do one day. Just give you the ability to say, I'm gonna do that because it makes sense for me to do
it. Something that just kind of crossed my mind when I was saying this, and this is something that I'm good at. I'm good at understanding what the macro view looks like and what's coming. I don't sit down and do the math. And I loved when you came to the community, you validated through the language of mathematics.
Yeah, the qualitative with the quantitative. Yeah.
You quantitated the expression that we were making when we were uncovering and discovering what Hex and the Hex ecosystem was. And you were like, you dug into it and then you proofed it with the math. It was like you were the scientist, the chemist in the lab saying, yep, everything that you guys just said,
it's true.
Here, it's true. I've got it all the whole equation.
That's literally
here,
it.
And this is what's going down. And I'd like to look at it this way right now. So let's just say this does go to, let's lowball it and say $6 trillion market cap, because they're talking, I've heard anything as high as like over 10 trillion coming in. I've heard even some bigger moon math than that, but let's just say conservatively 6 to 10 trillion. Even if it's 6 trillion, where did Hex end up? What was our highest ranking when we were really ranked truly for our market cap?
What was our market cap? Hold on.
What was our highest mark, and what position? Did we end up at number 3 one time, or 4? What was
three?
It?
It was
number
3.
3, right?
That's when nomics. That's when the nomics shit happened.
Yeah,
it was around the top.
Said, no, this can't happen, man.
That's
this
right. I had to shut that shit down, bro. Yeah, I had to shut that shit down.
Not be at number 3, and and so they yanked it by fiddling with the market cap numbers that they fiddled with anyway. They didn't like the way Richard checkmated
their
them
shit
on
up.
Market cap.
Yeah, they didn't like the way you
I'm gonna face it. It's true that market cap was bullshit. It's true that Hex's market cap was bullshit.
I mean, Hex is proof of that.
Everything else's market cap was bullshit.
Correct. That's right.
So taking ranking Hex because it was bullshit was bullshit because everything else should have been deranked because their market
That's
cap was
right.
just as much bullshit as Hex's market cap. So,
Bingo.
but let's just look at it in retrospect. So if we, what was the how many billions was our market cap when we were number 3?
I'm trying to find stuff for whatever reason. I don't have a chart with that shit, but I'll get it from Hex Daily Stats real quick.
Okay, so I'd be interested to see if you did the math on a $3 trillion market cap, what Hex's valuation was then, and what it would look like at a $6 billion or a $6 trillion market cap. Very low conservative estimate, and then work the price out there. If you want a price chart, do that. Do that. Come up with a number that way, and that should tell you where Hex may top out at.
656. Hold on, because I'm about to get to that.
See, I fucking love this. I love having somebody can do math.
656. All right, hold on. Let me find the market cap now.
I think it was about 220. I think it was 275.
275. It looks like it's 275 billion. Let me confirm. Yep, 275 USD.
So 275. So let's just double that, right? If it was a 3 trillion, double that.
Sure.
So what does that put us at? 550 billion? Is that what it is? 550. So $550 billion market cap. What would that make the price of Hex?
$6. It depends how many Hexes out there, but let's just assume double the price because you got double the market cap, even though it's technically less coins floating around, so it should technically go higher. But whatever. Let's make it easy.
You're looking at $1.20, $1.15, $1.20, something like that.
Sure.
There you go. There's your math, folks. There's it. Price prediction for RG3 whales only $1.25.
Yeah, and the thing is like, this is low balling based on the fact that liquidity is structured properly to make that happen, and people just discount that. They don't.
It's optimized.
Yeah,
it's optimized.
Yeah, all these things that are just laid out because people don't get why price is so low. They just see it and complain. But it's a double-edged sword, folks.
It is. It's a double-edged sword. The reason it went down so fast is because it can go up that fast because that's how the liquidity is set up. And Richard explained that to everybody in the beginning. I want you to understand that I know how to make these markets. So liquidity is going to be like this, and that's why it's going to move so fast. But guess what? It can go down. It can go down just as fast.
That's right.
I use a slide rule and an abacus.
Abacus. Yeah, I ain't seen that shit in so long. I even forgot to pronounce it too. I was like, damn, what's that thing called? I'm
so old school that I went to school when they wouldn't let you have a calculator.
Yeah, me too.
Calculator was bad. Like if they caught you with the Casio watch on in math class, you would get kicked out or suspended.
No, they would let you use it in some certain instances. They would let you use a calculator. So I ain't that old school.
I literally was like in school when the first calculators
when
came
it
out.
first came out, right? Yeah. Nah,
it was considered cheating,
Yeah, for sure, because they wanted you to use your brain and shit. Actually, I worked with a lady that was like that. She was like, "Yeah, I don't really like using it." She was from like I think she had been in this job, probably from the fucking 70s or 80s, and it's all this math shit. And back then you didn't really we talking about doing financial math. So, they got all these old school tools and old school ways of doing this shit. She wasn't a fan of calculators either. She had this old ass calculator machine. I mean, this thing was like a typewriter, bro. I mean, that shit belonged in the museums. That shit did not belong in the office.
X-Blind said the T83 was
that shit was crazy. I mean, I don't even know what it was. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah. And Robert just made a really cool point. If the tools are out there, make things easier, why not use them?
Right.
Today, that makes sense. That matters, just like AI. It's like
right. When AI everybody's loving AI. Isn't that funny?
For about a week, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to make everything. How are you going to write an essay again?" Fuck it. Essays are a thing of the past now. You don't need to write an essay. You don't need to learn those skills.
No,
that
you need to learn how to prompt
for you.
The AI.
You need to learn how to prompt the AI.
A decent resume, a decent whatever you want, so that then you can edit it, because you always have to make whatever you touch your own. Even though AI produced it and it might be okay, it ain't really you, so you got to touch it a little bit. You know, so even though it's kind of done, you can make it a little bit better, sauce it up a little bit, whatever you got to
Mhm.
do to make it you. But it took you 10 minutes.
But it's just like the computer is the upgrade to the calculator, you know,
Yeah,
or the upgrade to the typewriter, the
right.
word processor, you know, it's just making human beings better. You
Correct.
know, we've got all this technology. 21st century. This is the 21st century. The only thing that hasn't caught up to the 21st century is our damn money.
That's right. Oof, you nailed it, though.
Everything
Nailed it.
else is there. Our
Nailed
money
it.
and our power influences. You
Hmm.
know, they still haven't caught up to the 21st century. We still
But
do
that's why.
stupid shit.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? That's why.
Mhm.
You know, we can communicate all the way from here to fucking Timbuktu, no problem. But you still cannot send money instantly anywhere. How interesting is that? Right? And these are the things that people just, everyday individuals, you're not going to think about that because you're too busy worrying about getting that dollar for that next meal. You're not worried about shit else. And I get that, but there's going to come that point in time when people that are busy thinking about that next dollar are going to stop and think, yo, why the fuck I got to find $5 now? Because it was only $1. Shit changing. And
Mhm.
that's when people start waking up.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so.
Bro, if
I,
it ain't that, then it's gonna be even worse than I could imagine. And that's why I'm trying to be positive.
yeah,
Cause everything after that is lawlessness to
I
whatever
I
degree.
think I think the society and these generations are too lazy. The people that can actually go out and create the
Right.
lawlessness are too lazy to
Yeah, they
actually
are
go
pretty
out and
lazy.
do it.
Yeah. I mean,
And
look, I
and
work
do
with
it with
these
some
30-year-olds, bro. They yeah.
do it with authority and organization, you know,
Right.
and because
Right.
that's the one thing that they had that a lot of groups had in the past was they had organization. Now they may not have had the power, the oomph, or whatever, but they gave it a hell of a shot,
Correct.
and they organized and they got together, and I mean, you can go back and look at like the old. I'm talking about the old union organizers that organized up against the robber barons and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Those people fought in the streets, got ran
Right.
over, got shot by
Literally.
police, got shot by guards from the
Literally fought.
companies. Literally fought
Literally
like
fought.
they were having wars in the street against the company and the company men and the local authorities. And I mean, and sometimes the local authorities were even on the sides of the union workers. I mean, it was
Yep.
like it was real war and organization going on,
Correct.
in that time. I just don't see that type of zeal and organization.
I mean,
Well, and plus
imagine. Let's talk about that. I mean, we're talking about a time when the mob was hired to fight people
mm,
that wanted better pay. I mean, this shit is what people were doing. The people that were setting the standards that you follow were hiring the mob to fight you.
yeah,
So you wouldn't ask for more. I mean, this shit is documented. I'm not even making it up.
oh yeah,
Right? So what chance do we stand collectively when those people were fighting the mob? And
hmm
think about it. These are guys that you would see around your way
their
too.
neighbor. That's their neighborhood people.
Yeah,
They grew up with,
neighborhood
went to
people.
school with.
Correct.
They feared already.
It's a different world, man.
Yeah, it's a different world. It
It's a
definitely
different
is.
world. Now everybody's hired to do these acts that are not from around the way.
Yeah.
So it imposes a different level of fear on people, unfortunately.
Police forces are heavily militarized now. I mean,
Oh,
they
but
got
yo,
tanks rolling down the street and shit with,
you know what's crazy? They're not
local
really
police.
trained to use all that equipment properly,
No,
and that's the thing that people don't know.
no,
We military folk know this because we are properly trained. We know what a properly trained individual even looks like.
because we go out there and play with this shit all the time and,
Yeah, we don't have an
hate
option.
every minute of it.
Some people, you can tell they are not trained.
No,
You can just tell.
just the way they walk around in that stuff.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a good day when they got to use this shit. Good luck to them, though, because it's
Yeah, good
going to
luck.
backfire on their ass. It is, bro.
Mhm.
Because it's going
Yeah,
to be
they're just
guys.
getting better and better and better equipment, and I don't know. I
They're
can't
training.
see them
Training.
getting any more training. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
training's
I
just
don't see
not.
the training keeping up with it, bro. I just don't see it. I don't see
Yeah.
it. I mean, their bodies let us know that ain't the case,
Mm. Yeah.
right? I mean,
Oh, I know. I hate to say that, especially about my local boys, but
It
Some
is
of you
what it
guys
is.
need to go on a diet, man. Get your asses
It ain't
out
all
there.
of them, but a lot of them, yeah,
A lot of them looking pretty
yeah,
rough.
yeah, looking rough.
It's
You
like,
looking rough.
damn.
And look, after the service, bro, I never stopped working out. I'm ready to
No,
go to combat right now.
yeah,
Motherfucker can't tell me shit, so I can talk shit.
you you were one of the people in this community that inspired me. When you and I first met, and I saw, you're a specimen, man. You keep your body like in fighting shape all the time, every time I've ever met with you.
Yeah, man.
And
I don't
you
know what
take
it
your
is.
being ready seriously. That's
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
don't know what the fuck it is, but it must have just been because of when I turned 17, 18, and 19. It was during that time that I just learned to think that way. And I really just
Hmm.
carried it forward because, bro, out here, you gotta be ready in these streets. You have to
Hmm.
be. And
Hmm.
and and I hope that we don't ever reach a point where everybody has to be that way. That's what I hope.
Yeah, that's yeah, man. Just how do we get there? How do we get there? How do we find this world of peace? Because you and I have both seen it. This country really doesn't want war.
No,
We
no,
don't want
no.
internal. We don't
That's the
want
good
this to
thing.
turn into a third world
But
country.
that's the
And
good thing. I
yeah,
was literally going there. I mean, it's like you're reading my mind. That's the good thing because what does that mean? That means people are not going to react to the push, the vitriol that these people throw at us. I mean, if you think about it, and this is my opinion, I don't know what you think. Let me know what you think. In my opinion, with all the stuff that gets constantly thrown at people, I honestly thought that shit would have exploded years ago. And I'm happy that it hasn't yet.
hmm,
So I think people are understanding that they don't have to react to that, but they're not understanding what they have to react to.
yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what have held people back is that I think that humans actually have evolved beyond this whole war mentality,
Yeah,
and we've seen so much of it now on TV.
that
For
we
those
know
of us who
better.
have been out in the field and seen what the ravages of this shit does, and
Mhm.
for those of us who've had to just watch it on TV, it's devastation. It's like you see a whole city like, oh wow, fuck, that's what. It's not like back in the 70s and the 80s. Oh, we bombed the Ayatollah or whatever it was
Whatever.
that we were doing back then, or we got our hostages back. They didn't see the ravages of it. They didn't see the
Right.
destruction of it and the bodies in the streets and the videos of the 50 calibers tearing bodies apart and all that stuff. Once you've been, sensitized to that, then you're like, well, wait a second, is that what we want? Do we want drones flying around our cities, taking our young men out and our young women out in the streets, with 50 caliber freaking drones and shit? Is that that's because that's where we're at now. That's what's going to
Yeah.
happen.
I mean,
If we,
did you see the other day? And I'm sorry to cut you off, but the
no, no.
mayor unleashed a robotic cop, a robo cop in New York City. It's only a matter of time before that shit gets destroyed. But anyways, I'm sorry. I just had to bring that up because it's in line with what you're talking about.
It is, and so I think that we've been sensitized enough to the ravages of war that we don't want it.
Right.
We don't want it. But I don't think anybody knows what direction we need to go because we're all so angry. We're at that point. We're at that boiling
Yeah,
point where it feels like we want to go out in the street and take arms up against the tyranny,
but not
but
really.
not really. So how do we do it? And what gets us there? And what roadblocks are we looking at? And
Correct.
how do we break through this? And I think that's where everybody's at is just trying to like figure out because I
Right.
know that's where I'm at. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I mean, let's talk about that specifically. I mean, America is the country with the most guns, weapons in the world by civilians, hands down. So this idea that the masses are scared of anything is ludicrous. Nobody's scared of shit. It's just that nobody is willing to congregate. That's the actual problem, in
hmm,
my opinion. Because there's tons of guns, so defense is not an issue. You can find the AK 50 cal right now. All you gotta do is walk outside. I mean, this is America. There's guns literally
yeah.
everywhere.
There's gonna. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's
So I
people that
just
have guns usually have like 20 of them.
correct.
The people that
So
have guns have lots
just
of them.
them, just the people that legally own. Imagine all the illegal guns.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
There's a
can
lot.
triple. Yeah,
The
exactly.
the now the problem I see with that. So first of all, our military is very organized. It's the most organized military on the planet. It's the strongest military on the planet by far, like 100 times stronger than number
All of
two.
them. Yeah.
And of course stronger than all of the top 10 put together. So when you have a force like that, and I had a talk with somebody about this. They were asking me about, natives and why don't I was actually talking to an Israeli about, the zealous, or how would you say it? The enthusiasm of the Jewish people to continue to fight for their right to be a people, to be, to survive, to not be,
to exist,
to not have genocide perpetrated on them. Now, the American Indian native, most of the tribes are extinct. They're gone. There was genocide created and on those people, perpetrated on those people
all over here on this side of the earth. Yep.
And somebody was asking, and he was asking me, he was posing this question to me, as a young man in the American Indian movement in my earlier days, why is it that you guys don't fight? Why is it that you guys don't, yell out or pursue it and this and that? And first of all, we're all fractionalized because every Native American tribe is separate. We're all separate, independent nations within the country. So we don't have an affinity towards one another other than, we're all NDNs, right? And so there's that, the organization of a mass amount of people. And even where there are masses like Navajo Nation, the Sioux Nations, some of these bigger Native conglomerates, there's a lack of desire because the fighting that we have done, we're fighting against the world's strongest fighting and most lethal fighting force ever on the planet, and the most politically
the political juggernaut.
It's a political juggernaut. It has the most influence over everything on the planet. So even though everybody out there, like I couldn't sit down with one person and have them not say, "Oh yeah, the Indians got a raw deal." Yeah, they got a raw deal, but that's it. And how beautiful the Indians are, and they make great stuff with feathers and sticks and shit like that, and everybody, it's such a beautiful culture. Oh, such a beautiful language. Oh, such a beautiful, spiritual belief, blah, 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 blah. But that's where it stops. Like nobody wants to help the Native American. No. Nobody wants to really take up arms against the United States.
Everybody benefits against that crime.
Of course. Crime would mean
that crime, excuse me,
giving back my tribe its land.
Correct.
Which was most of Texas, all Louisiana. And, and so how do you do that? How do you reparate that to,
nobody talks
the last
about
3,500 members of my tribe
funny?
That are left?
Isn't that funny how nobody talks about those reparations? I find that funny.
Yeah, nobody will talk about that shit. But that was the conversation I had. It's like, dude, we don't want to go up against the strongest force the planet has ever seen, to try and get back we're just trying to hold on to what we got and keep our languages from fading away and to keep our faiths from being smushed out by, stronger faiths that are in this nation now, because we're considered heathens by leaving in our faith. We're just trying to keep a hold of those few little things that make us still people, our languages and our faith, let alone try and go up against them for reparations and giving us our land back and honoring the treaties, every one of them, which was dissolved or what would you call it? Violated. The United States has violated every single treaty that's ever wrote. Nobody ever talks about that big lie either. It's like, ooh, fuck. Who cares about defaulting on their loans? What about the treaties that they made with the people that the land they took? So it's like, how do we go up against the strongest nation that's ever existed on this planet and win? And because that's what we're talking about, us as people going up against that force that they've created, which isn't really of the people, by the people, for the people anymore. It's of the few, by the few, for the few is what they've created. The few, the proud, the United States of America, right?
Seriously, that's definitely what it seems like. Because, when you sit back and take stock of, even the people that work for these people don't benefit. It's crazy. The Stockholm syndrome is real. It's egregious. Yeah,
that's where a lot of like I said, the native people are Stockholm syndrome, and it's years and years and years of that being perpetuated on them, and now we have things like people don't even know that the poorest counties in this nation have always been and have forever been Indian reservations. And
Wow.
the drug
I didn't know
abuse.
that. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, go look at Pine Ridge and Rosebud, and we have things there. The fucking shit people don't even know about Native culture and what goes on in these places. It's astounding. So they have things called Lysol gangs, like in the Cheyenne River. Lysol gangs. You know what Lysol gangs are?
Mm-mm.
Lysol gangs are basically kind of homeless people on a reservation. That because alcohol was made illegal on the reservation, like you can't have alcohol on
They
reservations.
drank Lysol.
They drink Lysol, bro. They drink Lysol. They call them Lysol gangs because they can't afford to get off the res to go get the booze to bring it in. So they'll poke a hole in a can of Listerine, let the air escape, pour the liquid out into a jug, put it some water in. They call it ocean, right? So they mix this stuff up. Yeah, because when you mix up Lysol with water, it kind of does like this weird flushy like ocean shit.
Yeah.
And they drink that, man. They drink
Drinking
that.
fucking like that lava lamp.
It's like 100 proof or 127 proof,
Oh
and
my
they're
God,
drinking the water and shit and Lysol, and
Crazy.
that's what they're getting drunk off of because they can't get a hold of booze. That's the weird laws and the evil that has been perpetrated on these people. Like they don't even have a McDonald's on the res. Like they can't put something like that on there to give people a job, so that I mean.
Yeah, no economic means.
No economic means whatsoever, and I kind of like in my early days, I was out there fighting with, a lot of the aimers and stuff and, and Dennis Banks and Russell Means and all those guys. And I lost faith in all of it because first of all, just like in Hex, I'm a half breed, like my dad's full blooded, my mom's white. So I'm a half breed. So even in the culture, I get looked at like, what fuck? What's this white dude doing here?
Right.
What's he doing fighting with us? Or what's he doing trying to make change? So you got to deal with that whole thing inside the community itself.
Of course.
And then, you got to go
All
out there and then you got to go up against the United States government. Try doing that. Try going to DC, try messing around. I did that here with Hex too. Went to DC, start checking out what the lobby groups were doing, try to see, what these legally, how do we get in there? How do we make change? How do we do this? Because I'm not just sitting here talking, man. I'm trying to get shit done. I'm trying to do things. So I literally went down there and started talking to people in the lobby shops. And that was right before Sam, exit scammed everybody and got himself caught. So everywhere I went, they were all talking centralized exchanges. The centralized exchanges are the ones that were supposed to be getting licensing. So let's license a centralized exchange. And that's what the lobby groups are talking about. No. We're not talking about DeFi. That DeFi thing needs to go away. I'm like, what do you mean? Like I'm over there talking DeFi and they're looking at me like I got lobsters crawling out of my ears. I'm like, no. It's centralized exchanges. I'm like, no, you guys are wrong. These guys are going to rip you off. What are you talking about? And everywhere I went, man, I started my speech and then I watched them drift away. Like, I was the enemy when I was in that camp. And then like not even 2-3 months when I left DC, boom, they pick up Sammy and that was it. The whole thing just rolled over.
Apart. Yeah, they were wooed by the funds that they received in donations.
Yep. They were wooed by the donations. The money changed it like it always does. So I think that what it is that we have to do is always, let's be on the right side of history, no matter how hard it is and how much fire we get thrown at us. And then try and change the few things that we can, and then try and get capital into this space, try and get somehow, some way, support the people that are going to support the things in the right direction, because that's the only thing we can do, because that's a system we've been handed to us. Unless we try and get a constitutional amendment, and you and I both know how hard that is to get a constitutional amendment to end Citizens United, the people's voice doesn't matter. It's all about moneyed interest. Now we either change that law or we become the moneyed interest. What's going to be the easier route? Well, maybe this next bull run will tell us what the next route is, versus spending $400,000 on a rug pull that just happened to us this week, $600,000 on a NASCAR. All these kinds of things that we're wasting our money on, we could be putting into. Do you know what $1 million would do in crypto to help a lobbying firm push DeFi forward, that's a big step. But we literally blew that on two like little items. That's little for this community, this little itty bitty community that doesn't have a lot of energy in this space. Just on those two little items blew $1 million.
I mean, you know,
and that's not counting all the other rug pulls. I bet we've got 20, 30, $40 million worth of rug pulls.
Bro, yeah.
In the last 6 months.
And this is the shit that, you know, it really disenfranchises me the most when it comes to people. And it's just the lack of self-care, self-respect, really. I mean, why don't you want to fight for your rights just like you have to? Because that's really the only way. Because you're not willing to not live within the system, clearly. You're not willing to do that. You're not willing to walk away from the system. So why aren't you willing to participate in the system? Right? I mean, let's be adults. I had to come to terms with that shit. You helped me come to terms with that shit, even though I wasn't trying to hear it, because it is what it is. And guess what? I am not changing shit. We have to change the shit.
Yep.
That's the only way. And if we collectively do not give a fuck, then, you know, whatever. What are we going to do? Nothing's going to happen.
We definitely have to give a fuck. We have to pull a fuck out of the bottom of our pocket and give it to
the people that give a fuck are always going to give a fuck, and we're never going to stop giving a fuck.
Yeah.
But everybody else is going to be forced to give a fuck, or something is going to cause them to give a fuck, because they're not going to be left with much of a choice soon enough.
The pain. It's that dog. Pain. It's that dog on the porch sitting on the nail, right? They're like, why is the dog crying? Because you're laying on a nail. Why don't he get up? Because you don't want to.
When we were in Las Vegas, it was like damn near every cab driver that was complaining about the cost of living. Every time I hopped in an Uber, that was a conversation. And that's how I did my onboarding every time. This was in 2021. We talking about 2 years later, and the inflation is fucking insane now.
Oof. Yeah, their lot in life hasn't gotten any better. That's for sure. Those people you talk to, then their lot hasn't gotten better. Because you ain't making much if you're Uber driving, and you got a job to make ends meet. That's tough.
That's super tough, because you got to put in hours to make any kind of money in Uber. You ain't just getting paid every ride. Like, nah, you got to put in time. And every state, city is different. You know, there's going to be different rules for different drivers in different jurisdictions, funnily enough. And people just don't know these kinds of things. So, you know, it's getting real interesting out there. And, you know, people are going to have to start making some real grown-up decisions soon. And a lot of people just aren't ready for that. And they're going to have to, you know, be forced to be ready. And that's just what's going to be, you know, and, you know, because everybody is not ready to be involved. They just don't want to be. And it is what it is. You know, nobody can be forced. Yeah. But situations can wake your ass up.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, revolutions, and the revolution will not be televised, but it will be streamed. Revolutions are, you know, are started and usually fought and won by the few. Right. And usually the few misfits, the people that everybody thought was crazy, the people that everybody thought couldn't make a change, couldn't possibly make change, but they did, you know, because they persist, you know, and they don't give up. They've got their eye on the prize, and they catch the system that is probably, you know, played out its time, or, you know, war on everybody already. And when their underbelly is exposed, and when they're finally brought to light, and those few get everybody to take a look, then it's easy to rid them. Just like what happened to the Romans. Right. They were the power for a long time, until finally they were just absolutely weakened. I mean, nobody trusted it anymore.
Well, they weakened themselves, which is what's interesting. And the same thing that's happening to the U.S.
Same thing. Now, it's going to be interesting to see, because this country is made up, and you know, we can generalize as much as we want about how lazy and how lulled to sleep everybody is, but there is something different about this country. And I think it has to do with this place because this place is important to me. But there are some very, very, very powerful, unique, dedicated individuals in this country, and it always has had that. It's always had just those few that make change, those few that stand out, those few that get things done. Who would have thought that little ragtag band of people would have fought off the elites, across the pond all those years ago when they did, but they did. And here, because of all that, here this country is today. Now it's gone the way, and it's overstayed its welcome more than likely, because of how it's the faith that it's acting in now.
For sure.
So maybe it's, that time is right. And how is that underbelly going to get exposed, and how is that underbelly going to be, taken out to make change?
I think what's going to happen, and this is just me theorizing here, we're going to see the beginning of the bull. And, I think the beginning of that bull and whatever weird thing catches people's attention this go around is going to perpetuate the biggest bull we've ever seen, because people are going to be enamored by the fact that crypto is fast money, even though it's really not. But it's going to be, because we're going to be in a bull. So a lot of people are going to dump money into this shit that never fucked with it before, because they're not going to have much of an option. And that's how people end up. I mean, when you really look at the population, the most private retail investors that have ever existed in history exist now. Not before, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, now. Right? So, I could talk about legacy stuff all day just to highlight how much retail involvement there actually is. Right? So the important thing to understand is that all of that is going to translate. And I've been talking about this since I started talking about crypto, because this is what's going to happen, because they've been talking about it forever, because that's their goal. So what's going to do it? Well, there's no money really to be made over here. And that's how people are going to look at it, because that's what they're being told. So where are they going to go? To where they're hearing stories of people getting tons of money quickly, instantly, even though we all know it's not instant. But they hear about it after it happens, so they presume it is. And that's how this bull market, in my opinion, is going to end up becoming the biggest that we've seen to date, because inflation is fucking real. It's hitting people hard, and people are looking. They're looking for an out, period. And it's not just another job, because guess what? A job is just not ever going to pay enough. It's just not. You got to find an additional revenue stream. You just have to.
So we've been talking about, the bull. I think before the bull can be talked about, the bottom's got to be talked about. And when I look back in my history and being in this market space, the one thing that was the tell for me, that has been the tell for me, that we're bottoming out, and it's not, BitBoy getting arrested or any of this other stupid shit that's going on, but like seeing the news cycle from the institutions. So, I remember the first grumblings in 2016 when they started talking about the first institutional involvement in crypto. Right. And then they did, and they came in and they pumped in 17 and the 20K Christmas, and boom, coming out of it, and watching that happen, and watching that news cycle, and then watching the news cycle happen again, and it was crypto kitties then. And, that was another one of the narratives within crypto, was the NFT, the development, the first NFTs. Right. And then this next one, we had more institutional news come out. This money's coming in, and it pumped even harder. And we had the all round excitement of NFTs, And so it was like, that was what the inside narrative was, and DEXs and decentralized exchanges and whatnot. And now here we are, like Web3, the NFT space is really like developing like crazy. Like now it's like it's out of control now. Like there's NFT everywhere you turn, and now the institutional money like BlackRock and freaking JP Morgan, they're all talking about coming in, and getting in the space.
They're not being
and
shy about it either.
So it feels like to me the bottom is in, it's settled, and I know it's early, but it feels like these last 2-3 weeks have been a climb out of it. It feels like, and even outside of crypto, out in the outside crypto, not just the RH ecosystem or whatever, it's starting to show sentiment. I mean, seeing coins pump. I think Bitcoin hit something today. I think it's up, 20,000 or something like that.
I don't know, but I can check. Let's see.
I think it's on a green candle today.
I'll let you know in a second. Give me a minute here. It's 20. Yeah, it's up 3.5% basically. Ethereum is up 3.8%. 1730 for Ethereum and 28,000 abouts for Bitcoin. So yeah, they're up.
So I'm not going to call the bull market, but I'm saying bullish sentiment is starting to abound.
Yeah, well, when you look at the total market cap, I mean, it kind of looks like it. But it looks like we're getting ready to at least hit that sideways stride before the bull.
Yeah, where is the total market cap for crypto at right now?
1.09 trillion. If you round up.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not that bad. It's right above a trillion. It's right above a trillion. The low for this bear was 750 billion. It looks like, or 730 billion. So not bad. Let's see, 776. Yeah, looks like 776. So I was up. 736 was the low. So not bad. Not bad at all. All things equal. Right? Because we're talking about where's Hex at? Hex is hold on. I just saw the motherfucker.
Where's market cap on this damn thing?
I'll tell you in a second. Are you trying to figure out? Well, here's the thing.
Because
you're trying to figure out like the percentage of the market cap that it is now to see if it like grows proportionally or whatever.
Yeah, just to see where the percentage is.
Yeah, it's 2.07 billion.
2 billion. Okay.
T-share market cap is 1 billion, so it's like
the T-share. Yep. The T-share. That's something else that we can kind of get into a little bit.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about the good stuff, which is the T-share.
and that's where the excitement in the bear market has been my T-share value and the T-share price and the hex that I'm making every single day. I remember when the first time you did the math on the T-share payout going up and up and up. And the first time I heard you say it, I was like, oh man, that's been a theory, but I just don't believe it. I just don't see how it could do that. Yeah. And then when you pulled the math out on us, and I think we're in a green room one night or something, and you were like, no, look at this. And you started doing the math on T-share value price or how the payout per T-share was going to continue to go up. And I just couldn't see it until you broke out the math. And then lo and behold, the last 2.5, 3 years now has proven, the math that you did, that now we're at, what are we at? 6.7 T-share or
like
hex
average.
Per T-share. And like we were back then, we were at like, 1 point something.
I don't even
4
know.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was crazy. Something low. Then nobody even cared about the payout per T-share back then.
Yeah.
Nobody cared because it was so low. It wasn't really impressive and nothing. Like whatever.
We didn't realize how high it was going to go because of the price of the T-share going up and everything, and the scarcity of the amount of T-shares being staked and the way you did the math. And it's like, and here it is, like proofed once again, like the Hex King community proofed what Richard Hart put out in front of us. And Richard didn't have to do all this stuff for us and show it to us. He laid out the product and we unpeeled the onion and looked at it and was like, God damn, look at this thing, man. This is like the real value in Hex is staking it and holding onto those stakes and long-term gain. And the community has walked away from that. Like we drew everybody to that in the beginning, and motherfuckers were 4, 5 stakes all over the place. and and in the face of the whole crypto community calling them crazy for locking up their value. I mean, listen how crazy that is, folks. Bitcoin is still like 100, or no, I'm sorry, it's still maybe it only is 100 and something days away from being 15 years old. 5,555. Maybe it's a couple years.
2009 or 2008. No, it's this year, December. It's going to be officially 15 years old. January 2024, it'll be officially live for 15 years.
Yeah, I think it's literally and within 6 months, Bitcoin is finally going to be 15 years old.
December.
That's how much faith the 15-year stake took to put it in longer than Bitcoin has even been around.
Yep.
Now
it was easy for me. That's the thing, because here we go, 15 years Bitcoin around the corner. How much you think Bitcoin is going to be worth when that shit happens?
Right? Right? From a penny.
From zero.
From zero.
From less than a penny. It was really less than a penny for a long period of time.
I mean, and so your hex stake, imagine what your hex stake's going to be worth. What is your hex stake going to be worth in 15 years from now? Especially for you young people, for you youngsters that are in your 20s, 30s. Man, so, some of you right now who are 40 years old, if you're 40 years old right now, you think you're old, right? 40 years old.
Yeah. So
40 years old. If you stake for 15 years, you're still going to be younger than RG3 is right now after your 15-year stake. If you're 40 years old right now and you stake for 15 years, you're still younger than I am right now.
That's crazy. That's perspective right there. Thank you for saying that.
Hey, think about that, folks. Think about that. And the value that you're going to have and stored. If Bitcoin can do what it did with the piece of shit that it is, sorry, don't want to offend anybody in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, thank you for proofing a concept of peer-to-peer transactions.
But it is what it is, though.
Appreciate you, but it is garbage. Yeah. And if that garbage,
people don't know Bitcoin isn't finished. A lot of people just don't know that.
Yeah, because they're building shit on top of it all the time, trying to make it work.
Yeah, but they didn't.
It's a Rube Goldberg machine.
Protocol, so
they got to stack up more dominoes and add some more marbles and the umbrella that hits the toaster, that runs the scissors, that cut the line. That it's a fucking Rube Goldberg machine, man. It's old tech. It's done. Richard gamed them. He checkmated them with Hex. Hex is better than Bitcoin. And in 15 years, it's going to prove that. It's already proved that now to those of us who have been around for 3 of those 15 years. 3.
Yeah. Going on 4.
That's a fifth. That is a fifth of a 15-year stake. 3 years
already,
is a fifth.
Already gone.
Already gone. And they're going to keep going and keep going. And the price of T-shares is going to keep going up. And the payouts are going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the value that you get out of Hex supersedes everything else that's in the DeFi space, everything else that's in crypto. Pulse Chain is there to make Hex better. Pulse Chain is great. It's a great L1. It's the most decentralized L1 out there. Got 35 or 45,000 validators now, right? 45,000 validators?
About 43. About
43,000 validators. I mean, most decentralized L1 out there hasn't gone down yet, by the way. And they all go down on a monthly basis. And even though Pulse is only 4 or 5 months old, hasn't gone down. It's still running. Everything's great. Validators are growing. Everyone's happy with it. Fees are low. I mean, it's there to make Hex better. Now, what could possibly happen if Hex did a 10,000x? What could possibly happen if Hex is working better on a better L1 decentralized even more? What could possibly happen? If Bitcoin did 6 million X, what could Hex do?
I wonder.
Dude, remember Richard used to come on our streams and we used to get to talk to him in real life and stuff. Yep. And he'd be on there with us and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when he would say, you guys just don't know how high the price of Hex can go?
Right.
You just don't get it. You don't get it. You don't understand how high this price of this thing can go.
Mm-hmm.
I designed it to go up in price. It's designed to do that. He's never said that about Pulse Chain.
No.
He's only said this is going to be the most decentralized, the best L1, and because Ethereum's broken, Hex needs it. That's what he said. He didn't say, hey, I'm going to get, 10, I designed things to go 10,000x, but hey.
Right. Correct.
Pulse is here to make Hex better.
That's right. And, I mean, those are very important statements, right? Because it's very pointed. It's very specific, right? It's not like he's randomly saying stuff to not make a point of it. Like, and I think people just have a hard time paying attention because they want somebody to put things in English for them, and sometimes it just can't happen that way.
Well, I find it weird that we're only, going into year 4 right now, and we're having to go back and re-explain everything like it's day 1 again. Like the
Yeah,
Hex community has forgotten the narrative, and the narrative is staking long, staking as much as you can in order to get the biggest value out of Hex. That's where the value is in the long game in Hex. And it's like, and that's what everybody knew from the beginning.
hmm
When Hex was really, really cheap, 0.000005 and all that shit, right?
yeah,
That's all we were thinking, was how do we stake this stuff for as long as we can to get the biggest returns. In fact, and I alerted everybody to it. I said, hey, before big payday, you better unstake every fucking thing you have, emergency unstake everything you have that's 6 months old, if it's a year stake or whatever.
right. I
Everything that's
remember
gone
that.
past its halfway point, you better
I saw
unstake it and
that.
restake it for longer to get more T-shares, because the T-share price, Whale showed me the math. I remember when you showed me the math.
Yeah, but everybody
You
did it
said,
though.
you said
Everybody did it,
that the price of the T-share was going to do this.
and
It
it
was
did it
going to
too.
fucking do a 90-degree angle. You showed us the math
It
and
sure
showed
so
us the
did.
chart. And go look at the chart today, folks. Go look at what the T-share price did on big payday. And he literally showed us, Wales showed us the math on the T-share price jumping up on a straight line on big payday. And we warned everybody. I was so convicted that I told people to emergency end stake, which is like the biggest no-no on the planet, is to hit
Yeah.
that button, right? In this ecosystem. I told them, you better emergency end stake if you're halfway through and you're getting your principal back, and stake it for longer so that you can get your big payday right and get your T-shares right and get your life back in order, because you're fucked up right now if you're getting shit out early. And I can't tell you how many events I go to where people come up to me and say, thank you, RG3, for making me emergency end stake before big payday, because I now have triple, double, quadruple the amount of T-shares that I would have had I just left it alone and not restaked on big payday.
Mm, what an achievement! Without even trying, you just improve the future of all those families, and they don't even got a clue.
And it's because now they're holding for longer, and now they understand the value of a T-share, and they understood it then. And now I think that's gone away. And maybe it's because we don't have that big payday, pump
Impact.
looming impact.
Right.
But then you showed me something else, that at the end years of these 15-year stakes, how fast everything starts ratcheting up, and how the
Yeah.
T-share price starts to really move fast after year 10, 11, 12, 13 in the system, how that T-share price just starts to boom. And all of
hmm
those stakes that are sitting out there for that amount of time are really going to be the beneficiaries of a lot of Hex and
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of value.
Yo, once we pass that 5 year mark, it's on, man. Like it's and thank you for the super chats to the Moon Moon. Appreciate your 55. T-shares. Once people fully understand them, you will have economic strategists come out the woodwork with plans for buying bottoms and staking enough size to make monthly income more realistic using Hex. I can't wait. You know what's funny? Once the price of Hex gets back up there, that's when it makes sense to stake short again. But people don't even think like that because it's too busy being negative.
Yeah.
They can't even fathom a reality where people want to make money because they think it can only be clicking some random button for some random
Yeah.
coin or whatever.
And you know what's funny, bro, is and here's something that I see that's going to happen. So it goes along with my theory of how scarce Hex is going to become. I know that with the invention of Pulse, and with the L1 bringing the fees down, that a lot of short staking is going to happen. It's
hmm
just inevitable. people are going to start to short stake because it's
When
going to
that
become.
price skyrockets, bro, you better believe it's going to be a reason to stake short.
Mhm,
Because
yeah,
monetarily speaking, it makes sense at that point.
it does. However, what's going to happen is the real value of Hex is going to be discovered about this same time, I believe. I think in this next bull run, we might see it start to happen. Is that institutions are going to want to start gobbling up the long-term hold of Hex because of the value it brings to institutional money. Institutional money that doesn't have to go anywhere for a long time,
Right.
that can sit, man, they can sit on 10, 15-year stakes, 5-year stakes, and let that value just simmer in there.
Yep.
And once that institutional money comes in and starts gobbling all of those T-shares up, that first round that they go through, I mean, this first 15 years, once this first 15 years goes by, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how high and how hard it's going to be to get T-shares.
Oh yeah.
And we won't be talking T-shares. We've already started talking B
We're gonna be
shares
talking
and
B
M
shares.
shares. And it'll
Actually,
be
by
just
then we'll probably be
shares.
talking K shares or some shit by
Shares.
then, or shares, yeah, or shares, yeah, because we're
And
talking
if
about 15 years, man.
15 years. Now, the cool thing is for those people who are new right now, those people who are bringing capital into the system right now at the bottom of this bear market, which aren't many, but for those of you who are out there whose friends are going to call them 6 to 8 months from now when the bull market's running and say, get me in, get me in, get me in.
Right.
When you ain't getting them in right now, those people could be buying T-shares with dollar value that they aren't going to be able to put in the bull market and in years to come. The T-share right now is the cheapest dollar for dollar that you're probably ever going to see it
Oh yeah, for a long time.
for a long
Because
time.
remember when it was about 10,000, when it was only 50 cents, and this
Yeah.
was when the T-shirt rate was below 19,000 hex
Was
per
it below
T-shirt.
19 when it was up in the 50s?
That's right.
Damn.
That's
We've
right. It
went from
never made.
19 to 30 in
It
the
never even
bear,
went to 19. It went to 18,000, like 700.
and then woof.
And then we went from that level in the bear market to the beginning of the bear market all the way to 29,000, whatever the fuck we're at today. So 10,000 hex in 2 years per T-share, an increase in the T-share rate. 10,000 hex. And people are noticing it. They might not say it a lot, but when you see people talking about making stakes, the very few that are doing it, they complain about how little T-shares they're not getting nowadays because it's not 10,000 hex cheaper. You
Yeah, it's not.
mopes.
So right now, right now we're at 30,000, right? So wait. So I'm going to do some math here on stream. Very dangerous for the RG3 to be doing this. So 30,000. Where was I going with that? Okay. So literally a T-share right now is costing what, $240 in P hex,
Mm-hmm.
and in E hex. And in E
Half.
hex, yeah, half that. $120 for a T-share. What was it at its height? How much were they?
9,000, like $500
Oh,
or some crazy shit like that. It was some crazy number.
almost 10 grand.
Yeah, man.
Woo!
That's right.
You can get a T-share for $140, $120.
That's
Man,
right.
these guys, if you're on my channel, Alan, you'd be in timeout right now for talking about the old man like that. Doctor Who doesn't even have a machine to travel through his timeline.
Hey, you saw that? That shit was crazy.
Did you see the one before that?
This is the one before that. RG saw the big
Moondog.
bang sign his eyebrows, and that's why you were oh man, that shit is funny. Oh shit.
You kids crack me up.
Too funny, man. I love the humor. Love the humor.
Yeah, they love poking on me. My height and my age.
Yeah, that's funny. They always call you the short guy. You're not even that fucking short.
Well, my friends like Brissology, you and Kinetics, I'm not sure.
Well, the thing is that even when you just standing next, I mean, when you're not standing next to giants, you're a regular dude. And when anybody's standing next to giants, they're not gonna be fucking tall. And I think that's the problem. You get caught next to giants all the fucking time, bro.
Oh man, at one time when I was hanging out with Rack 'em.
Ah,
The guy's 6'8", like 8,
8.
6,
Yeah.
7. It's like
Motherfucker's almost 7 feet. A few inches away from it.
DCC is like 6'4",
Yeah.
and
Corey, another
so is
guy, like
Axis
6'5".
is like 6'3", 6'2".
Yeah, hold a dog, another guy, 6'8". You know, like we got all these giants walking around, bro. Us
I
short
know.
guys are gonna look like shrimps from time to time. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
you ain't kidding.
Or us normal size, average
Normal
size
size
guys
guy.
gonna be fucking looking like shrimp from time to time. It's gonna happen. See,
Yeah.
Kinetics has a comeback. He has a
Kinetics.
comeback.
No, he doesn't have a comeback. You're taller than me. Oh, is that what he's saying? he's gonna freaking die saying that. He's gonna go down with it, man.
Oh,
He's
man.
like, all I gotta do is lie about it on stream and nobody knows the difference.
Good enough.
Like Brissology, like 5'4",
Yeah, he's short, bro. He's short.
both ways.
Oh man, but those T-shirts, bro, them T-shirts gonna make you
T-shirts.
tall if you short.
They make you pretty, young, and tall.
They're gonna
That's
do
for
it
sure.
all.
They're gonna do it all. They're gonna do it all for you. Definitely make you look a lot sexier. Those T-shirts.
Yeah, that's a fact. Hell yeah. Hey, if you guys don't understand T-shirts, think about them like this. A T-share is this thing that essentially is like an employee that makes you more employees.
That's it. That's it.
So you got these never-ending workers making you more workers that you get to use whenever you want.
It's an algorithmic miner. It's just a code-based miner that you can deploy at your will, and it just mines for you. It makes more and more hex, and it does it without anybody messing with it, with no middlemen, immutably, flawlessly for the last 3 years. It's been printing them for us
since inception.
And on top of that, the beautiful thing about a T-share is that it gives you a position within the system that allows you to play a part in the economics of the system by when people emergency end stake, that dirty word I told you about.
Yeah.
When people emergency end stake, it improves your average. It improves the percentage of hex you get because you're getting paid that hex that emergency end stakes and gets penalized against other people that pull their stuff out early.
Yep.
That penalty goes to you, the staker, and it lets you participate in a system that you would otherwise not be able to participate in the TradFi world, in the centralized world, because they control it. The banks control it. The governments control all that shit. You don't control it. Now in Hex, you control that. You're part of it. By saying I'm going to be a staker, you're entitled to other people's mistakes now, because that's what the system is set up to do, is to pay you out. It's designed to do that and make you part of the system. And there's even more now with the advent of Pulse Chain and the DEX Pulse X. Now you can become part of the liquidity as a community member, and you can, not that everybody needs or should do that unless you understand what it's about, of course, but it's just more and more opportunity to be involved in this ecosystem that could change the world by giving the power of the value of our money back to the people. And that's why I'm so passionate and I feel so serious about what it is we're doing, because we're doing more than just teaching people, how to get into crypto and make some money off of crypto. We're teaching people how to be part of the ecosystem, how to develop an ecosystem, if we were all doing this, it would grow and it would take on more adoption. It would help more people and it would fix the money. As the only way we're going to fix the money, hey, fix the money, fix the world. First, crypto had to be fixed, and Richard did that. Richard fixed crypto because crypto was supposed to save the money. Richard fixed it. So it's fixed. So now we have to get adoption, and that's up to the community to get the adoption. It's not going to be up to Richard. It's not up to some marketing company. They're not going to get it in newspapers and magazine articles and billboards and sides of cars and all that kind of shit. It's going to be us getting out there in front of people, getting people's faces, getting loud, showing people what it's about. Yes, exactly.
Put it in short.
We got to get out there and do it. And that's why, why the Pulse Chain Tour. I'll be the first one to admit, and I probably even said this to you, was when the Germans went out and started the tour, it was lackluster to me. I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a glorified, you know,
Yeah, it seems kind of pointless. Not really strategic. Not really efficient.
I thought they were just out, having a good time in the country, two guys from,
Even worse.
from Europe just partying. And they were having a great time. Don't get me wrong. Um, but then as I took a look at this and I took a step back and looked at what I was trying to do here with Discourse Syndicate and my streams and everything, I was trying to bring adoption. That's what I really wanted. I was never trying to make myself famous. The reason I made the movie was to get the word of Hex out to more people. Now they asked me to be in the movie, so I participated in being in the movie, and it put me in a different position than just producing it or whatever. But that movie's out forever now. Right. Now I know that, we've only just begun. We got a theatrical release and Hexicans got to see it and all that, but eventually that thing's going to be out on a streaming service very, very soon. Yeah. And that movie's there forever. So when crypto gets hot, people are wanting to, calling you to get into Hex at $1 versus they won't get in now because it's under a penny. But when it's $1, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. And when they want to get in, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be Google searching everything, looking at Hex, and they're going to see the highest of stakes. They're going to see that it's on one of these streaming services and they're going to watch it. And they're going to start to see what the ecosystem's about. So all of these things that I did, and then I said, okay, well, how do I get some more outreach? Well, I think that a story needs to be told. It's guys like you and me that understand this system that have to go out there and speak what it has done for our lives and what it can do for others' lives, and how it stands in the face of authorities and governments and banks and moneyed interest and defies him. And it's just a group of organic misfits that are promoting it. It's not some 1%er that's promoting it. It's not some government that's promoting it. It's not some clandestine fucking government agency that's trying to shove it down your throat and control you. Right. Like, this is a grassroots, for the people, by the people, money fixing situation right here. And we have to get out with passion and not just fill up the little rooms that I've been filling up, traveling around, the country with Black Hexagon and SJ, in tow. It's filling up stadiums, it's getting out there and getting the word out and getting enough oomph behind it to fill up stadiums. Happen
eventually, man. I'm a firm believer that it's going to happen eventually. But the thing is that, and it's hard for people to understand it, but that, just like when these artists are performing to 5 people in a crowd, it's the same thing now. You got to talk to 5 people in a crowd that don't know what crypto is versus everybody else that knows and is there just hanging out. Yeah. Right? There's going to be the 5 people that don't actually know shit. And eventually it's going to be fucking auditoriums, then stadiums. Yeah. And then guess what? Done fucking told you. You should have listened.
Look, if you can get somebody excited enough about a product like soap powders and fruit juices to fill up stadiums, you could damn sure get life-changing wealth and money to get people excited enough to get in and fill up stadiums.
Correct.
And that's there's a SJ. And again, we're gonna fill. You know what? Nobody is more inspirational, motivated than SJ out there. I mean, that gal is driving this freaking dilapidated bus.
Yes.
I shouldn't call it a dilapidated bus.
It's a bus.
It's a bus. And it's hand painted by Hexicans on the Pulse Chain tour. And it's her home. Her and her cat live in the thing. And she travels the country and does the good work and scouts out the neighborhoods when we get there and onboards people and gets them to the show and puts up stickers in coffee shops and at colleges and flyers. And I mean, she's just out there doing the good work. So hats off to you, SJ. Thanks for all the help and the good work that you do. And
shout out to SJ.
And yeah, I mean, it's just this gal out there on her own, just driving place to place to place, spreading the word, and that's what we have to do at a grassroots level. That's how it starts.
That's right.
You're just one touching one, go out and bring somebody in, go out and tell somebody about life-changing wealth, life-changing, global changing money. Go tell them about how this is better than Bitcoin. This is better than the dollar, because guys, even when I didn't have the evidence or the strength to tell people that this was the thing that was better than Bitcoin that fixes crypto, I said it. I did it because I was convicted. And I knew that I knew that I knew, but I knew that it was going to have to be proven. And I was going to stand in front of it no matter what, because everybody around me, all the smart people around me were validating it. Access was validating. Kinetics was validating. Whales was validating. Johnny Chaos was validating. There were all these smart people. Crypto Coffee was validating it. All these really smart people around me were showing me the math. Were showing me the code. Were showing me the flawlessness of its operation. Were showing me all of it. And then I took everything that I'd already learned in life, all the cycles that I had been in, 2008 crash. I mean, how many of you motherfuckers were trying to save a home in 2008? Probably a lot of you didn't even have jobs back then. You were in high school and shit. I was trying to save my family and my home in 2008 when it crashed. I had already been through a couple of markets cycles and owned 2 homes. I've been through it. And I was trying to save my ass during that time. So I've been through cycles. So it took all that wisdom, knowledge, and the stuff that was going on around me with all of these crypto freaking geniuses that I had at my disposal. And I said, it's okay to say this thing is going to change the world, because that's what we have. Because I know crypto could, but crypto wasn't fixed. And everything you guys told me was that Richard fixed crypto. This thing did it, man. And you can just get out there and say what you want with the passion you want, because it's not going to fail you. And guess what? Hex didn't fail us. Hex didn't fail us. So we're still standing here, and everything that we said was right.
Yep. Crystalline, clear, and precise.
And so that gives us more credibility in this next bull run and beyond, And I think that the Hexicans are the ones that the Hexican streamers, the Hexican educators, we're going to be the ones that are going to stand out in crypto, because all the rest of them were just promises that never to this day have propped up their communities or helped their communities.
Yeah, unfortunately, people don't respect that fact enough, and that issue continues to permeate and plague the space to such a degree that, it's really concerning to me, because I'm a huge proponent of cryptocurrency, and at work, I work on Wall Street. I can't even talk about this shit. It's considered a joke. Nobody's trying to hear it unless an institution is coming with, fucking size. Nobody cares about crypto. It's irrelevant regardless of all the X's it does, because guess what? Those guys already know how to make money in another market. So they don't understand the problem yet, because they're not experiencing it. So until real life hits them real hard, which it'll happen soon. Oh, actually, today we got our first news of our first banking suicide. And this isn't to celebrate it. It's just, this is typically how crises start in America, unfortunately. Financial crises. It happened. This is what happened in 2000. It's what happened in 2008. Or, excuse me, it's 2006. It's just what happens, So unfortunately, the faucet has been opened. So get ready.
Yeah. And it's funny, in the crash in 2007-8, the bailout that happened after that. What was it? A $7 trillion, bailout?
It was bigger than that. It was huge.
And that was swept under the rug, bro. Like, they don't even talk about that.
They don't even talk about it no more. That's exactly
like these.
And they kept bailing shit out after that, and they continue to bail shit out.
And then they let that cycle play out. Then they deregulate all the little banks and say, yeah, you guys can all act like big banks if you want.
And then they come and step on them after that. Isn't that funny? And
then they squashed them like bugs. And who squashed them? The banks. So the banks have won, and won again. Like, people don't understand what they did during that crash. In that crash, they created these liar loans. So basically what they did is they took their A rating freaking loans that hardworking people that worked their whole lives, that paid their mortgages every week, that never defaulted and all that good stuff. Those were the A credit rated freaking loans. And they took all these liar loans. So they took all these people that said, yeah, man, I make $100,000 a year. Back then, this was a lot of money, by the way. Yeah, I make $100,000 a year. Yeah. Give me that $500,000 home. Yeah. Give me that $750,000 home. Yeah. And they took that shit paper, garbage, toilet paper fucking loan, and they mixed it up together with the good loans and said, here's our A-rated loans. That's what they did.
Literally.
And I've heard it said this way, like they made coleslaw. They took a good head of cabbage and a rotten head of cabbage and they mixed it up. And guess what? The coleslaw was rotten no matter how you sliced it.
That's right. That's
exactly what they did. And when everybody realized that coleslaw was bad, well, they threw it out. And what happened? All those people that lied lost their homes. To who? The bank.
The same bank.
And who got bailed out?
That bank.
The bank. Who got the money for those loans, those bad loans? The bank. Who got the property in? The bank. Who got to sell that property again? The bank. They made out. That was the biggest freaking fraud ever perpetrated on the people of this country, was that shit that happened right there. And then they sold all those homes to more people, and it got on higher interest rates, and then they perpetuated it over again. And now they squashed. So then they say, okay, well, we're not happy enough just being, taking that $7 trillion from the taxpayers and all the money from the people that lost their homes that we gave fake money to and all that stuff. We want you to squash all these little banks. So go ahead and deregulate them. Let them get over leveraged in bonds so we can crush the bond market. We'll crush the bond market, liquidate all them motherfuckers, and then you give us those banks.
That's right.
We'll buy them on pennies on the dollar. And that's what they did. The banking system is the biggest fucking fraud ever perpetrated on this fucking nation. And crypto fixes that shit. And now the Bitcoin maxis, I'll just call them the maxis and the whatever promise coiners, because there's a difference between a shit coin and a promise coin. There is a difference. There's the Bitcoin maxis and the promise coiners, and they are ushering in, hailing, begging for, fondling the institutional money to come in and save them, because this is their last hope. One more time, they want that institutional money to come in and pump all the prices on them. Guess what? So the maxis can dump on your heads again, like they will, and they always have. And you're not going to fix anything with that. The institutional money is in charge of it. These banks that did all this bullshit to you over all these years, that did it to me, almost took my home from me, made me have to do everything I could to try and save it so my family had a roof over its head, clean toilets in the middle of the night while I worked all day. That's the kind of shit I had to do to save my house. We want these people to come in and fix us and fix crypto.
Isn't that comical?
Like, I looked at crypto to get me out of that situation, to go fight those bastards.
Out of that system. And they're ushering it in with fucking applause. Yay! Yep. Thank you, BlackRock. And champagne, like some fucking dumbass. It's fucking comedy, bro. And look, just to highlight what we were talking about earlier, crypto market cap back in the day was like 8-9 billion. 2015, that was the top. 2014. Oh no, wait. Yep, 2014, and then it went up to 760 billion, 762 billion in January 2018, January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we went to 3 trillion. So we went from 8-9 billion to 760 billion to 3 trillion. So yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen next time, but I'm gonna definitely be confident and guessing we're gonna probably eclipse 10 trillion. I can just see it. I can just see it because people are incentivized to find money now like never before. Because guess what? Everything costs 20% higher or more. Not 3, not 5, not 10, 20. And guess what? It's only going to get worse because everything is priced in dollars, and then everything is priced as a function of dollars after that. So if your bags ain't packed, good luck, because you're going to get wrecked.
Yeah, and don't think that this institutional money that's coming in isn't smart. Don't think that they don't understand what's going on over here. Look, I keep saying this. Don't think too highly of your little crypto game. These people have been playing this shell game, this 3-card Monte, for a long time. And they're looking at this like it's a juicy little freaking piglet. And they're just going to roast your fucking ass up.
They are.
Because they know the game. There ain't
it.
nothing new in crypto. These pump and dumps ain't nothing new to them. They've been doing this shit for the beginning of fucking time, man.
Imagine what we haven't seen yet, because there are no rules here and people don't understand that.
Yeah, and then there's no rules. So they're looking at this like
fresh meat.
Everybody
meat, here is fresh meat for the most part, because they don't know how to operate in markets.
Nope, they don't know how. And they're going to come in and they're going to take their percentage off this bottom dip here, because they're going to get a percentage of it. You can already see. I use an app. What's the name of it? It's called It's this great app, CoinGlass. So CoinGlass gives me alerts when big Bitcoin moves happen, and it's mostly just wallet to wallet, but you can see when it comes out of an exchange and goes to a brand new wallet or something. Like OTC trades are being made, right? And then you could kind of follow a little bit and see. I don't do a whole bunch of it, but I kind of look and see if it's going to, one of the big institutions in crypto or outside of crypto. If it's even an address that you can look up or whatever, but you can see alerts of when Bitcoin, and there's been a lot in the last, say, 30, 45 days. There's been a lot of big wallet moves of Bitcoin moving around in the system. And so that's also kind of indicating for me that the bull is in, that OTC trades are being made. Big wallets are moving in and out of exchanges, into exchanges, out of exchanges, in between wallets, OTC stuff happening. So, I think we're getting ready for this thing to start moving. And the institutional money knows what it's doing. Please, folks, man, be careful. The best thing to do is, get yourself a good position, dollar cost yourself in or dollar cost yourself out as it's going up, and just, let them play the game. You just kind of ride the wave, just ride the wave, because it's going up and it's going down. Just kind of do what you can to mitigate yourself into the middle of it, and don't make any stupid moves right now, or any harsh moves right
Freeze.
now.
Freeze, motherfucker. Hey, hold on. Let me Bitcoin. I was gonna ask you when have all the happenings happened, because I can't remember.
The Prune Juice app. What are you talking about, Alan? God damn, I ain't that. Well, I do like my fiber, I gotta admit, but
eat my raisin bran.
Does anybody eat the prune juice, drink prune juice anymore?
I don't even think
so.
So
have you ever seen that chart? Yeah, there is a chart of the happenings, and
I found the dates. So it's 2012, 2016, 2020, 2024.
And look at the months. Like, we're literally at the 6-month point from, I think the block's supposed to end around the block change at the halving is supposed to be somewhere around, maybe they're figuring April, May, something like that.
Yeah, it's looking like April. So the
we're
reason
6
I was
months.
thinking about the dates was because I wanted to calculate how many cycles we're in, and this is going to be the fourth one. And if it's every 210,000 blocks, that means 210,000 times 4, which is 840,000, right? So on the 840,000 block is when the halving is going to happen again. And
they're saying that's about 6 months.
April 26, 2024 is the estimated date right now. So, 6 months away approximately.
Yeah, so about 6 months away. And if you look at all the charts on all the halvings, about the six month away mark is where the bottom's in. And all the bottom end signals are here. I mean, what more do you want? We've been skipping at this point for a couple of months now. We did have an SEC dip, but we did have a retracement. We had that when the SEC came out with the announcement, which, boy, somebody with a good lawyer should probably go out there and see if we can sue the SEC for that one. But anyway, so there was a dip, and then it pumped back up to where now we're even with that, with where we were before that SEC information came out, So it's almost like you could read this stuff like a book, man. You don't have to be some fucking chart reading guru to look at this stuff and go, man, it's human nature. Once again, secular human nature, fucking Fibonacci. Everything's going around in a circle, doing the same thing. Nothing new under the sun. Here we go. Another cycle. Watch, here it comes. Prepare yourself.
That's why fractals work, because we are a function of ourselves, and humans are always going to do the same thing in similar situations. This is why Charts do the same things over and over, and technical analysis, while pointless in many respects, is also self-fulfilling in many respects, because we are we're a reflection of that. That's what technical analysis is, a reflection of human behavior.
Exactly. I was having a talk with Kinetics about this the other morning. It's like, I was like, all of this stuff is just, humans perpetuate it because we're secular animals too. We get tired of things. We move into things. We come out of things. We readjust, and that's what the Fibonacci is and the golden ratio is. It's about the self perpetuation of things that nothing new under the sun. Everything continuing to keep happening, in a secular motion, and that's what these charts reflect. What the waves reflect, And because it is an investment, and because we're constantly bringing more value in, and the market cap, even though a useless term we may call it, the market cap does prove that this market in and of itself has gone from a very, very small market cap to a much larger market cap, and more money is coming into the system in waves, secular, on a regular basis. And it's even better than the stock market, because all of this shit is programmed into the system. The halving is literally programmed into the system. The hex ratios, everything, the T-share price is programmed into the system. You can literally go on chain and see all the stakes. There is no easier or better way to time and get in and out of a market than in the hex ecosystem, because you can literally look at it, plug it into the greater crypto space, and one day we probably won't have to do that because we will be the bigger space, and time everything. I mean, it's not that difficult. That's why this bear market hasn't got me down or stopped me or changed my narrative or made me chase other things to try and get everybody excited or myself more money or any of that kind of stuff. I'm fucking 98% down, man. My bags are like, they're just as bad as everybody else's. My bags are not looking like what they did at 54 fucking cents.
Right. I mean, that's 50.
I was floating on fucking clouds back then.
Yeah, that's fucking like 70x lower, bro. Shit.
So, but having faith in the math and having faith in the system and the programming and the code, like, we're in such so much a better place than, for instance, the traditional marketplace, where people have to go out and really discover, find value and future value and why to hold or sell or whatever. And we really don't have to do that here. Like, you got so much that you can do with just looking at math and code that you can almost set it and forget it. And we even have the tools to do so with staking. And not have to play that whole stock market game or need a broker to handle your shit and tell you when to come in, come out, and all that kind of crap.
None of that's required anymore.
None of it's required. It's set it and forget it. And it's simple. It's easy. It's better money. It's a better inflation model. It's a better interest bearing, everything. And now the only thing left to do is promote. Correct. We have to promote it. The community has to get it out. The organic community has to get it out.
It's the only way. It's the only way. Word of mouth is what people rely on to find things that they deem valuable at some point. I can't remember ever taking a reference from some fucking random third party. I personally speaking, I don't operate that way. Unless somebody recommends something to me, I could care less about an advertisement. I don't get it.
And that's what I say. Like, I got a story I tell about, so you wake up in the morning, you're watching TV, getting your coffee, you see a freaking Domino's pizza ad. You go and you drive into work, you got a Domino's billboard. You got it on the radio. You come home, you throw your mail down, there's a Domino's freaking flyer in your thing.
Right, it's everywhere.
It's Monday night. Your boy comes over, you're watching the TV. He's like, hey, you're like, hey, I'm going to order some pizza. There's a Domino's commercial on. Your boy says, now fuck Domino's. It sucks, man. Let's get a Porky's pizza. And what do you do? You get the Porky's pizza because your bro told you to get the Porky's pizza, not because you got hit 12 times that day by Domino's with that ad. And your friend that word of mouth advertising, your friend telling you that this is better than that, and this is why I've eaten that shit. It tastes like cardboard. Porkies is a shit. Tastes fucking like gold. Get this stuff instead. Pay the extra few bucks for it. Boom, 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 boom. You got the Porky's pizza at your house. You ain't eating the Domino's while you're watching another Domino's commercial. You're eating your Porky's pizza.
Yeah,
so that's how this has to happen, man. It's got to be about word of mouth. It's got to be about us telling the story. It's got to be us getting mano y mano, because you and I were friends until we met, and when we met, we became like you said, you pulled out a 9mm. Literally, you pulled out a 9mm and said, "Hey, man, I got your back tonight. Don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be cool." And it was like, that's my boy. We're out in the middle of the woods. The four of us sleeping in this cabin that they stuck. We didn't know who they were. Stuck us out in the middle of the woods. A bunch of freaking guys, fucking crypto, whatevers. And I was like, damn, man, they stuck us out here like fucking Halloween or some shit, man. Like,
it was like that.
It was. We were we were in like a cabin, a big like mansion cabin in the middle of the woods or whatever. And but Wales, we were going to bed, and it's like, all right, everybody. And before me and Hexo slipped off into a room and switched our beds together.
No comment.
Wales literally pulls out a 9 and goes, "Hey, I got everybody's back tonight. Don't worry." I'm like, "Oh, he's got my 6. I'm good, man. I'm going to sleep." Or me and Hexo are going to go hang out in here tonight. But that
Good times, man.
But that changes the dynamic of our relationship. When you meet, when we met in Vegas and when we spent time together, that changes the whole thing versus this 2D. I mean, I don't even get to see your face here, and
right.
But there's a whole different dynamic that happens when human beings get together and speak face to face.
It just can't be replaced. And that is one thing I will thank for 2020, because man, it really helped me understand that while we might be all fully capable of doing our own thing, collectively we are a force to be bargained or be, reckoned with. Because when a group of people get together and say, "Yeah, we're doing this," that's what it's going to be. Yeah. And nobody can change that. And I wish more people would really just understand that, because that is so true.
Yeah. I've experienced it out there at every event, every stop that we went to. I've made, closer connections with the Hexicans that I do know. For instance, like me and Cabana, again, talked to us last time, and it solidified our relationship even more. We did a couple more. He came on the F and hang out the other night, and he's a different human being to me now that we've spent more time together.
Well, he's a human being.
He's a human being
on YouTube, right?
Yeah. And I feel that when I'm in these rooms talking, like, next week I'll go to Miami, and I know for a fact that I'm going to meet a Hexican that I've never met before. And that every time that I connect with that Hexican online again through Telegram, Twitter chat, whatever, I feel differently about that person. Right. And I have a lot more trust. And I know that, and now there's the other case. So I've met a couple of you out there, and I'm like, I'll stay away from that motherfucker. That'll get motherfucking crazy as shit.
Energy is everything.
Yeah. But, that's on a lighter note, but it's that relationship, it's that trust, and that's why I like getting out in front of the people and, using my passion, using my experience, my strength, my hope in this system to share the good word of what Hex is, what it can do for the world, and how they can help by getting involved, not only themselves, but the system to be perpetrated on the planet up against these fucking banks and governments and fucking one name entities that are, the 1%ers of the world. Yeah. We can fix that by getting in front of people, telling the story, or getting people in front of somebody who can tell the story. Maybe it's not you that can do it, but maybe you can get 10 people in your group in Miami next week to come show up at our Pulse Chain tour and let me talk to them and let me explain to them why you got in and why we got in, what we're doing here. If you can't tell them and you can't, and they know you, because look, hey, your mom knows you. She knows you've been into a million different things. She knows the mistakes you've made. The fact that you fucking pissed the bed, or, you shit yourself or whatever. She knows all that stuff, right? Your friends know you, the mistakes you made, the crap you've gotten yourself into. But when you put them in front of somebody else, and that other person is telling the story from a position of success or from understanding, it changes the whole narrative for them. They trust your judgment versus they trusting you. They trust your judgment in another human being because you trust them. See, you trust that person, but they may not trust you as a person because you've made some mistakes and your decisions.
Not in this respect, anyway.
But they trust your judgment as in another human being.
Correct. Which is interesting when you think about it, right?
Because they're telling them the same things that I'm getting told.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not coming from you.
Yeah, like you could bring somebody. You could bring somebody and you say, you're telling them, hey, look, get some hex. You're going to stake it. It's going to be a better inflation model. It's going to do this. You're going to get this many years stake. Boom, boom, boom. It's DeFi. Boom, boom, boom. And they're like, yeah. Well, wait a minute. Let me take it to RG3. RG3 goes, hey, you're going to get this hex. You're going to stake it. It's going to be a better inflation model. You're going to make this much interest. Boom, boom. And they're going to look at you and go, did you hear what that guy said? That guy just told me this, and that. And you're going to say, I've been fucking telling you this for the last 2-3 years, motherfucker. But man, he said it so much more convincing to me than you did, and that's just, unfortunately, that's just the way
life, man.
That's the way it works. Yeah, so that's why I tell people, man, get them out there, get involved in this thing. And even if you don't have people to bring, just get there, become friends with the community, become a more influential member of the community by understanding who we all are and what those of us who are doing the good work are trying to do to get people together and build things on the Hex ecosystem that aren't rug pulls, that aren't hurting people, because you and I both, we've been involved in things since the beginning outside of the Hex ecosystem that function, for the people and haven't hurt anybody. We've never rug pulled anything. The things that we've built have only been ancillary products outside of the Hex ecosystem to help people in crypto, mitigate taxes and all that kind of stuff. And, the Hex Investment Trust and all the things that we built, we've never asked for sacrifices or anything like that. Even the movie, we made the movie, me and Kinetics and all these things are just to help make the system better, help Hexicans, help people in crypto. Yeah. And so we've got a good track record and people need to, get involved and be involved in stuff like that, and not try and bilk the system for money that's being taken out of Hex and put into, the next promise coin or the next meme coin or the next, shiny scam object or whatever,
Yeah. I mean, I just wish, and I know I have a lot of wishes, but if people dedicated themselves to understanding what it took to achieve success, they would realize probably sooner rather than later that they already found it, because time is the requirement for success, nothing else. And if Hex monetizes time and time equals success, well, I hope you can do the math on that.
Right. Writing's on the wall on that one, baby.
Yeah, it doesn't get any simpler. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler. I feel like I can come on every stream, say that, and be done in 30 seconds. Boom. Like, what else do you need to know?
But bro, I'm telling you, they want to hear so much more. Yeah, they want to
mental
they want to just, massage me. Come on, make me understand it better. But it's really that simple. It's timing the market, not timing the market. Get out of the trading game and get into the saving game. It's that simple, folks. And
so
no other saving game better in crypto than Hex. You don't have a time monetizer.
And like once that thing takes off, man, I mean, people just, if you weren't around, you just don't know how this thing moves. Oh,
when it moves up, I mean, we've had a down, shoulder. But when Hex goes up, I mean, it is just the ups that we've had are just insane. I mean, you ever watch that video? You ever watch that video of, Richard's talking, what was it? The rewind video where they show the chart going up, and then all of a sudden they zoom out, and then the chart still does another hockey stick and it keeps going up, and then they zoom out and it flattens out, and then boom, it hockey sticks again. And it's just like mountain climb after mountain climb after mountain climb, peak after peak after peak. It just keeps going and moving. And I'll tell you what, so many people got priced out of the market
quickly.
Remember, look at SJ. Who else? She's meow.
Sure, SJ, sure.
Oh, making the old guys feel good.
Right.
So remember that guy that like it was in the AA early adoption phase when they had that guy. Oh, why did I sell my hex?
Yep, sure
He
do.
sold like I think he sold like 3 million hex or something like that.
No, it was like 4 million or
Oof.
16 million. It was some crazy number of hex, man. It
It
was like
was a lot.
16 million. It was 16 million or some crazy shit like that. It was
And
crazy.
he's why did I sell my hex? Because literally it was a few days after he was priced out of the market.
Oof.
And the market took off from him and never returned.
Nope, never.
And I mean, this guy bought, I'm talking like 3-4 months into the AA people. I'm talking this guy was getting at 0.0000 something. He got hex cheap and then sold it to make like, I don't know. He made a few $1,000s and lost like 30-40,000 like that week.
Yeah.
And then it just took off from him where he could have been sitting on, hundreds of thousands of dollars at the top and just got priced right out of the market that quick. And that's how it happens here. I mean, you just get left in the dust when this thing takes off.
Yeah, quickly. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's simply quickly. Like it's all of a sudden then gone.
Yep.
So, this is why we are always promoting DCAing so people can understand it's a long game. It's nothing else. It's really a long game because if you respect your pocket enough to the point where you strategically invest and not speculate to the tune where you're buying sizable sums, then you're going to benefit greatly from your actions. It's just simple math.
Yeah. And right now the T shares are cheaper than and they've been in a long time, in years. And when it does take off, this most quite possibly will be the last time you'll see T shares at this price. I mean, it's just,
I think so.
I don't know how you can get any $240 for, what did we say there? That was
200 something and then 120 or something like that.
Yeah, 120 for a million
or EHEX or something. I mean, it's just crazy, bro. It's crazy.
When people were paying upwards of $10,000 for them, and if you double that, let's just call it $20,000 if hex does go to the dollar range,
right?
Double it. Just call them 20,000 that you can get for $140 right now.
Damn, shit's crazy, man. Because people
and that's the value, man. That's the value. It's not number go up. It's not how many X's you can get in Pulse Chain or Pulse X. Those are the low value plays right there. Those are the risk plays right there. Those are the woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, couldas right there. That's what ifs, What if grasshoppers had machine guns and birds wouldn't fuck with them, right? So forget that, man. The dead money, the sure money is a T-share right now. A T-share right now is the money play. End of story. There is no better value in all the ecosystem, in all of crypto. Now, I'm not talking about the outliers that are going to fucking 100x tomorrow. RG, this meme coin 100x yesterday. Yeah, and it freaking rug pulled.
Because motherfuckers put $100 in it.
Yeah.
The fuck up, man.
And now there's $120 in liquidity.
Exactly.
In the freaking in the pool. I mean, look, we've been saying it from the beginning. We haven't been wrong. And there's a reason why I have generational wealth, even at a penny, is because the T-share works and because the T-share is the value. I don't have a big bag because I bought a monster bag of hex and I held it liquid. I have a big bag because I invested what I could, when I could, at the level I could without over leveraging myself. It went up 10,000x, but I staked before big payday. I staked smart. I staked wise. I staked staking ladders. I staked income producing ladders so that in 2 years from the times that I started staking that I could come out of the system and be whole, even at a penny. And because I did that, because I played the system like Richard taught us, like he shows us it could do, I took that risk, but mitigated it and made sure that, my day job and my investments and everything else was still solid and that I didn't over leverage myself, because what if it was wrong? What if it failed? What if Richard was a liar? What if he was a cheat and a thief? But
A lot of
because I
orders.
rolled the dice and did that, I'm sitting in a better place than 90% of the people in crypto right now, especially all the influencers. They're all fucking wrecked. They're all out there creating drama to try and become relevant again because they want to be ready for the next bull. And everybody's going to forget about all the rug pulls that those motherfuckers promoted. Everybody's going to forget about it. Even their little famous fucking bit boy, even their little happy little bit boy who lied to them for all those years, who barely and the Hex community slobbering all over him because he didn't hurt Hex. He didn't promote us. He didn't say anything kind about us. He said, "Oh, Richard's my friend," and somebody gave me some Hex. That's about as much as he did for this community. And motherfuckers over there kissing his ass for that.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
That's bullshit, man. That is bullshit. Because he's going to come back and act like he was our savior, and everybody's going to slobber all over him and forget about the true believers and those of us who were here from the beginning, helping, working, striving, not creating drama, telling everybody to do the right thing, not dumping our Hex and admitting to it like he did. That Hex that was given to him, he dumped. You know, the only thing he ever did was said, "Yeah, Richard's my friend. I like Richard Hart. We'll have to see what Hex does. Boy, the community's a little toxic. But yeah, that's what fucking punk did."
So much for that.
Shit, man. And that's what they all did. None of them really gave us time of day. You know, just like, you know, like our friend at Nomics, and don't get me wrong, he's a friend of mine, and he didn't give us any accolades. They just decided that they were going to be the ones to list Hex properly at first, until they were coerced into not. And then look what happened to them. They're gone. You know, so
karma's a bitch.
We have always been on the right side of history, you know, and I truly believe that because of that, the Hexkins and the Hexkin streamers will be the last men standing, the last persons standing to be whatever politically. So Hex has always got to have our back. You know, those other coins, those other cryptos didn't have their other communities' backs. They didn't own up to their promises. They didn't not rug pull. They didn't not go down. They didn't fail in their code, have to get the, you know, chains rolled back. Hex did all that for us. We don't have to ever worry about being ridiculed for our chain being rolled back. We don't ever have to be ridiculed about, you know, its code failing and having an inflation bug. We don't ever have to worry about the founder running off with the coins. We don't ever have to worry about the institution that owns Hex dumping on our heads every month. We don't have to worry about having to explain that every month to the community. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
None of that.
You know, Hex has our back, has our 6, like you did with that 9mm that night, has our back 100%. I can sleep at night and say what I want on stream because Hex will always be there. The other communities turned around, their coins weren't there. The promises were never met.
Nope.
So
long gone is where they're at.
Those communities failed. All we have is upside now. All we have is the ability to grow as a community. And it's us that will keep us down if we don't. Correct. If we don't move forward and fill up stadiums, it's our fault. Not Hex's fault, not Richard's fault, not the rest of crypto's fault, because they've all come at us. Look, guys, they already shot all their fucking arrows at us. They can't do nothing more to hurt us. There ain't a one of us streamers that give a fuck what a maxi streamer says about us. We don't give a shit. No. They got nothing on us.
I don't even think they got streamers. They got streamers like that? Like, I don't think so.
Not like this. Yeah, not organic. No. Not that aren't paid.
Correct. I mean, I don't got any streamers, bro.
I gotta check something here. I have a stream with Randy later.
Nice, damn. All right, well, let's wrap it up soon.
Later or if it's now.
Yeah, let's wrap it up soon. We're already going on 3 hours, bro. That's hard work.
I don't know how the hell we went 3 hours.
Yeah, that shit flew by, but it was a great conversation, man. So we got to do it again because this is a conversation that has to continue. It has to be perpetual. It can't just be when people get wrecked. Like, people need to understand that your best bet is the long bet because it's the biggest winning bet. It's really that you just can't go wrong.
Even Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger tell you so.
That's right. If you don't know who they are, you might want to look them up. You look them up. A couple of the most richest dudes in the planet. Yeah, on the realm. So,
and they don't like us, and they don't like
they
crypto.
don't like us, for a reason, because we threaten
But-
their status.
and they just don't understand what we are. I'll bet you, look, if Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett really understood what Hex was, they'd be all over it. This is all
Maybe.
about them. If you go and watch any of their stuff, read any of their books, this is exactly what they
I've
talk
said it
about.
before. Yeah, I've said it a million times. That's right. Yep. Hex is what they've been talking about forever. And it's impossible to find anything like this in Legacy, which is exactly why I was like, you know what? I need to stream about this shit because motherfuckers got to know. Because people just don't know. And then even after you tell them, they're not doing any due diligence to verify what's being said. So they still don't fucking know. They think it's a scam, a joke, a lie. So all the people that are out here disrespecting the T-Share and Hex and think that they got some hot shit going on. Well, just like you're looking stupid because you got fucking rug for 400K, you're going to look dumb as fuck in the future when this thing skyrockets to wherever it's going to go. Because it's going to go.
And prices you out of the market. Because guess what? I just popped up on my screen on my phone right now. My Hex alerts. My Hex alerts that strokes me every evening and makes me feel so much better so I can go in and eat my dinner and go to bed and all that good stuff. It says payout per T-shares. 6.62 Hex per T-share today. 6 cents in USD per T-share. And I got that every day, all the time, rain or shine, 7 days a week. No government can fail. No bank can go upside down bankrupt. Nothing can take that away from me. That is my contract, my interaction with the Hex contract that nobody but me can push that button and end it, change it, do anything to it. And that's 6.62. And that has been going up all the time since I first set those stakes up. That's the beauty of Hex. That's what everybody should be looking at, the value. That's what everybody should be looking at every day versus a wallet that is going up and down in price. You should be looking at your payout per T-share per day, and you should have as many T-shares as you can and get them as cheap as they are right now. That's where the value is.
That's it, baby. Spoken like a champ. Because that's where it's at. And if you're looking for that, you might want to look there.
All right, my brother. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate you.
It was a pleasure, man.
Always
we definitely got to do it again. And we definitely got to continue the conversation, like I said a moment ago, because, at the end of the day, what else do we got except this crypto stuff? Nothing.
That's it. And our relationships that we're building in it. That's for
right.
sure. And if you want to get tighter with me and the crew and the people that are working for you out in the field, come see us in Miami at the Pulse Chain Tour. You can go to pulsechaintour.com and see the dates. We still got Texas. We got big party in Texas going on. We're going to do Dallas and Austin. Going to be lots of fun. And then last stop really is Phoenix before the LA going to the cruise down to Cabo for a couple of days. And the Hex cruises are always badass fun.
Nice.
I know it's a bear market, but do it. If you're in the Miami area, get your ass out there and come hang out with us. Because it always turns into a debauchery party.
Everybody's favorite, right?
Yeah, man. The one thing about Hex is they definitely know how to cut it up and have a party.
That's it, baby.
I was a little worried at first. We had some hot pocket eating basement dwelling motherfuckers at first, but now things have changed a little bit. We're getting a little more,
They scaled up the chicken wraps.
They have scaled up. They have scaled up.
All right, brother. Man. Pleasure as always, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for putting up with us for 3-4 hours. Jesus. Jeez. All right. Peace.
See you later.
Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
That Alien done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is the told you? Dollar